Widespread rain, hail and wind sweep across Nepal. Authorities warn of windstorms and snowfall. Residents urge for precaution. Nepali Congress Central Committee undecided over President Gagan Thapa's nomination. RSP prepares to form Nepal's new government. New Prime Minister's swearing-in scheduled for March 27. Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Fitr, marking end of Ramadan. Festivities bring families together amid global and regional tensions. Dozens injured in a fire at an auto plant in Daejeon, South Korea. 21 serious, 14 missing. And Nepali under-20 football team heads to Maldives for SAF Championship. Team aims to overcome past weaknesses and claim the title. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 20 to 15 in Tokyo, and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal is witnessing a widespread rainfall with wind, hail, thunder and lightning reported across the country. Kathmandu Valley has seen afternoon showers accompanied by hail, causing difficulties for citizens and vehicles in some areas. The Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has issued warnings of possible windstorms and heavy rainfall, particularly in the western regions today and the eastern regions tomorrow. Strong winds of up to 119 kilometers per hour are expected near Biratnagar, Dhankuta and Dharan, posing risks to weak structures, electricity and communication services. Heavy rain and snowfall are also in the forecast for hilly and mountainous areas of Karnali and Sudar Pashchim provinces. Tarai regions like Dang, Nepalganj and Lumbini are likely to face strong gusts. Authorities have urged residents to avoid unnecessary travel, stay in safe locations and take precautions to protect property and vehicles. The Nepali Congress Central Working Committee meeting has been postponed and will reconvene on Sunday to continue discussions, on key party matters. Today's meeting, held at the party's central office in Sanepa, focused on reviewing recent election results, preparations for the 15th General Convention, and the resignation of party president Bhagan Kumar Thapa. Thapa had tendered his resignation on moral grounds following the party's electoral performance, but party leaders, including Vice President Bishwa Prakash Sharma, proposed rejecting it, arguing that the party's setbacks were due to broader issues rather than the president himself. The 26-point preliminary election review was presented, outlining 7 reasons to retain the president, and members expressed support for this view. In total, 24 Central Committee members, including leaders from Koshi and Lumbini provinces, shared their opinions before the meeting was adjourned. The Central Committee is expected to make a final decision after the remaining members complete their review during the Sunday session. Rashtriya Swatantra Party have secured nearly 2/3 majority in Nepal's House of Representatives and has begun preparations to form a new government under senior leader Balendra Shah. Party leaders, including President Ravi Lamichhane and Vice Presidents D.P. Aryal and Swarnim Wagle, are in continuous discussions to finalize the formation of an 11 to 18-member Council of Ministers. The swearing-in of the new Prime Minister is planned for March 27. Followed by the formal constitution of the Council of Ministers. This will be the first government formed on the basis of a single-party majority since the promulgation of Nepal's 2015 constitution under Article 76(1), eliminating the need for a vote of confidence. It is learnt that ministerial responsibilities will be assigned based on expertise, although names have not yet been finalized. The almost 2/3 majority government is expected to strengthen governance, development and service delivery compared to previous coalition governments. Prime Minister Sushila Karki has expressed her gratitude to the provincial government and security agencies for ensuring a peaceful conduct of elections in Madhya Province and Dhanusha district. Speaking at a security meeting at Janakpur Airport, she specifically thanked Home, Communications and Law Minister Fakira Mahato, senior security officials and Dhanusha security chief for their role in managing the polls. Prime Minister Karki praised their efforts in overseeing historically peaceful elections despite various challenges and doubts. Earlier, she visited Janaki Temple in Janakpur Dham, offering prayers and meeting the temple's mahants and priests. She emphasized that her visit to Janakpur Dham was purely for religious purposes. This marks Karki's first visit to the city since leading the interim government. And we're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Stay with us. You're watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. Work on upgrading the Dhulikhel-Sanga section under construction Aranika Highway is progressing rapidly. Although the original project deadline is expired last December, the deadline has now been extended by 1 year to 9th December 2026. Lama Construction Private Limited has been contracted to carry out the expansion at a cost of 4.6564 billion rupees. According to project engineer Bishnu Prasad Khanal, approximately 67% of the work has been completed, including 3 kilometers of road paving, 2 kilometers of city base and 4 kilometers of sub-base. Construction of sewers has also begun in the Banipa Bazar area. Officials say the accelerated work aims to ensure timely completion and improve connectivity along this critical highway corridor. The National Natural Resources and Finance Commission has set the limits for internal debt that the federal, provincial and local governments in Nepal can take in the upcoming fiscal year 2026-27. The Commission recommended that the federal government may mobilize internal debt up to a maximum of 5.5% of the GDP, while provincial and local governments can raise debt up to 12% of their combined own and federal revenue. The guidelines emphasize fiscal discipline, requiring a cost-benefit analysis, evaluation of net present value, and internal rate of return before taking loans. Officials stress that debt should only be used for projects that promote production growth, employment, income generation, infrastructure development, and capital formation. The recommendation aims to ensure that returns from debt-funded projects can cover both principal and interest, preventing financial strain. It is learned that these measures are designed to balance development needs with fiscal sustainability. Now, from shaping our smile to influencing our overall health, oral hygiene is an important part of healthy living. The long overlooked issue is also gaining attention in Nepal as the world marks Oral Health Day today. How aware are we about oral health, which according to doctors reflects the overall health of human body? Diksha Awasthi looks into how oral health affects humans' overall wellness.
Behind every smile lies a complex oral system, one that is far more than just the appearance. Do you know it also plays a vital role in our overall health? Oral health is defined as a state free from mouth and facial pain, infections, tooth decay, and gum disease, conditions that can affect how we eat, speak, and live. Doctors say when oral health is neglected, it does not just stay in the mouth, it can impact the whole body. March 20 is World Oral Health Day. With this year's message, a happy mouth is a happy life. Research shows poor oral health is linked to serious conditions like heart disease, diabetes, respiratory infections, and even complications during pregnancy. In fact, it is a two-way system. Oral health, on the one hand, is a mirror to the health condition of a human body, while on the other hand, it also indicates the health condition of other body parts.
Oral cavity is the mirror of the general health. So, as it is a mirror, every other disease seen in our body is reflected in our oral cavity. Like if the patient have deficiencies, like lots of vitamin deficiencies, iron deficiencies, vitamin B12 deficiencies, or there is stress, in oral cavity we can see ulcerations. And if patient have diabetes, then our periodontium is weak and there can be a mobile teeth. Like in hypertension and diabetes, if they are taking medication and if they have going through the medication, there is a less salivary flow, so it will affect the oral cavity in a while.
Globally, an estimated 3.5 billion people suffer from oral diseases, making them one of the most common non-communicable diseases. In Nepal too, oral health is an emerging public health concern.
There are many issues regarding the dental health in Nepal. So, for example, we see a lot of kids coming with a lot of caries in their teeth, in the oral cavity in very young age. Mostly in case of old age people, there are diseases related to gums and bone around the teeth. Also, there are a lot of people who consume tobacco products on a regular basis in Nepal. It's mostly in our South Asian countries. So there are also incidents of oral cancer, lesions in the oral cavity which further progress into cancer. So we see all of these cases regularly in the hospital scenario.
Experts say maintaining oral hygiene is simple but essential. To raise awareness among the general public, the Dental Student Society of Nepal, in collaboration with the Nepal Dental Association, organized multiple events in Kathmandu. Remember, oral health is not just about a bright smile. It is a key reflection of overall well-being. Diksha Awasthi with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
Finland has been ranked the happiest country in the world for the 9th consecutive year, according to a study by the Oxford Wellbeing Wellness Centre and the United Nations Sustainable Development Network, covering 147 countries. Iceland and Denmark follow in second and third place, while Costa Rica has entered the top 5 for the first time, ranking 4th. Sweden is 5th. The rankings were determined using indicators such as GDP, social support, freedom and corruption. Among other nations, Australia is 15th, the United States 23rd, Canada 25th and the United Kingdom 29th. Nepal ranks 92nd with neighbouring China at 65th and India at 116th. Afghanistan is at the bottom of the list, ranked 147th. Cooperative victims once again staged a Kathmandu-centric protest, demanding the return of their savings deposited in various savings and cooperatives. The demonstration took place at Maitighar under the leadership of the National Federation of Cooperative Victim Savers. Protesters called for the full repayment of all deposited funds, regardless of the amount, and demanded strict action against those involved in fraud. Participants carried placards with slogans such as "No gas, no fuel, no money in cooperatives," "Enact laws to punish cooperative fraudsters," and "Return the savers' money." Kuslav Casey, the president of National Campaign for the Protection of Cooperative Savers, emphasized that the incoming government must take the concerns of cooperative victims seriously.
कानुन र नीति चेन्ज गर्दै गर्दाखेरि समग्र बचतकर्तालाई कुनै पनि विभेद नगरिकन तत्काल दामासाईले बचत फिर्ता गर्ने आधार सहितको सिस्टम निर्माण गरोस् भन्नका लागि हामी ध्यान आकर्षण गराउन यहाँ आएका हौं।
International news coming up next. For now, a short break. Muslims around the world celebrated Eid al-Fitr, marking the end of holy month of Ramadan, during which they fast from sunrise to sunset. Ramadan ends with the sighting of new moon, which ushers in the month of Shawwal. The religious celebration lasts 2 days and is distinct from Eid al-Adha, which takes place during the Hajj pilgrimage. Eid al-Fitr usually starts with a congregational prayer in an outdoor area and is an opportunity for families and friends to gather and participate in large prayers and festivities. For many Muslim-majority countries, the festival arrives this year against the backdrop of conflict, instability, and the spillover effects of regional escalation. Israel pounded Tehran with airstrikes Friday as Iranians marked Nowruz, or the Persian New Year. People reported hearing strikes around Iran's capital. The attacks came a day after Israel pledged to refrain from more strikes on a key Iranian gas field, and Iran intensified attacks on oil and natural gas facilities around the Gulf. Heavy explosions shook Dubai early Friday as air defenses intercepted incoming fire over the city, where people were observing Eid al-Fitr, the end of the holy Muslim fasting month of Ramadan. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have said that U.S.-Israeli strikes had killed their spokesperson, Ali Mohammad Naimi. The Israeli army has also confirmed the killing of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps spokesperson, General Ali Mohammad Naimi. The Israeli army said General Ali Mohammad Naimi was killed in an overnight air attack. Israeli media reported that an oil refinery in the northern port city of Haifa was hit on Thursday after the military warned of incoming missiles launched from Iran. Israel's Khan 11 public broadcaster aired images on television showing a thick plume of dark smoke rising from the area of the refinery. In a post on X, Khan reported that there were no concerns that hazardous materials had leaked. The spokesperson for the Environmental Protection Ministry said its Director General and emergency response units from Haifa district were on their way to a scene following a report regarding the fall of intercepted debris in the Haifa region and a suspected incident involving hazardous materials. Meanwhile, drones have struck Kuwait's largest oil refinery for the second day, as Iran launched a sweeping assault on energy infrastructure across the Gulf, while explosions boomed over Tehran from Israeli attacks as the country marked the Persian New Year. Fires broke out across multiple units at Mina al-Ahmadi refinery, which processes about 730,000 barrels of oil every day, early on Friday morning. Kuwait's national oil company said several units had been shut down, although there were no casualties reported. Now, following the EU summit on Thursday, French President Emmanuel Macron called for a de-escalation in the Middle East and for a clarification of the objectives behind the war so that it can come to an end as quickly as possible. Macron also described the Israeli operations in Lebanon as unacceptable, while also stressing that the Hezbollah must hand over its weapons.
Mais on ne pense pas que la lutte contre le Hezbollah ou soustraction de ses armes puisse se faire par une puissance tierce. Et donc nous pensons que l'opération militaire terrestre israélienne comme les bombardements ne sont pas adaptés et même sont inacceptables au regard du droit international comme de l'intérêt même et des Libanais et de la sécurité d'Israël dans la durée.
We're going for a short break here. We'll be back with more from the international front. Outraged EU leaders rounded on Viktor Orban after the Hungarian nationalist refused to lift his veto on funds for Ukraine's war effort at a Thursday EU summit, accusing him of gross act of disloyalty tantamount to blackmail. Moscow's closest partner in the bloc, Hungary's Prime Minister, has long resisted helping Kyiv to repel Russia's invasion by stalling EU aid and repeated rounds of sanctions. This time, Orban is holding up about 90 billion euros, which is equivalent to 104 billion US dollars, a loan which he previously greenlit as leverage in a feud over damage to a pipeline through Ukraine, which has choked the flow of Russian oil to Hungary and Slovakia.
To clearly condemn the attitude from Viktor Orban, to remember that once a deal is a deal, and all the leaders need to honor their word. And nobody can blackmail the European Council. Nobody can blackmail the European Union institutions. And we need to deliver on this.
During Thursday's meeting between Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and US President Donald Trump, the latter said it would be appropriate for Japan and other allies to contribute to efforts to ensure safe passage, noting that Japan gets around 90% of its oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Responding to a media question on Japan's role in helping to reopen the strait after meeting US President Donald Trump, Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi said that the role Japan can play is bounded within the framework of Japanese law.
私から事態の早期、沈静化の必要性をはじめとする、我が国の考え方をしっかり伝えました。で、ホルムズ海峡における航行の安全でエネルギーの安定供給を含む、中東地域の平和と安定の実現に向けて、日米間で緊密に意思疎通を続けていくということを確認しました。で、ただ日本の法律の範囲内でできることとできないことがございますので、これについては詳細にきっちりと説明をいたしました。
A fire at a car parts plant in South Korea on Friday left at least 21 people seriously injured and 14 others missing. The blaze broke out around 1 p.m. local time in the central city of Daejeon. Officials reported that about 45 people were injured in total, with 21 believed to be in serious condition. Authorities issued an order typically used for fires beyond the capacity of local firefighting teams. President Lee Jae-myung has instructed officials to mobilize all available personnel and equipment for rescue operations. Fireworks lit up the sky as a cardboard figure of Charlie Chaplin was set ablaze during Nit de la Crema, the final night of Fallas Festival in Valencia. The event marks the culmination of days of festivities featuring large fallas, elaborate cardboard structures representing current events and public figures. Individual figures within these structures, known as ninots, are also part of the displays. On the final night, the fallas are burned in a symbolic act honoring Saint Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters and workers. The festival includes parades, fireworks, and exhibitions of intricately designed figures across the city. The tradition is one of Spain's most well-known cultural celebrations, drawing visitors from around the world each year. Time now for sports update. The The Nepali under-20 men's national football team is set to depart for Maldives to compete in the SAF Under-20 Championship starting March 23rd with hopes of winning the title. Head coach Arjun Shrestha will lead a squad largely composed of players experienced in this age group, while Dharmendra Kaur has been named the new team captain. Nepal is drawn into Group A alongside the host nation Maldives, Bhutan and Sri Lanka, while defending champions India, Bangladesh and Pakistan are in Group B. The top two teams from each group will advance to the semi-finals. Coach Shrestha has said the team has trained for about a month and aims to leverage their experience while minimizing past mistakes. Officials and fans are optimistic that Nepal's preparation and cohesive team dynamics could make the country a strong contender for the title. Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of the top stories this hour. Widespread rain, hail and wind sweep across Nepal. Authorities warn of windstorms and snowfall. Residents urge for precaution. Nepali Congress Central Committee undecided over President Gagan Thapa's resignation. Meeting postponed to Sunday. RSP prepares to form Nepal's new government. New Prime Minister swearing-in scheduled for March 27. Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Fitr, marking end of Ramadan. Festivities bring families together amid global and regional tensions. Dozens injured in a fire at an auto plant in Daejeon, South Korea. 21 seriously injured, 14 missing. And Nepali under-20 football team heads to Maldives for SAF Championship. Team aims to overcome past weaknesses and claim the title. That is all for this edition of NTV World Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and also get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World. Facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified. Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Dai Lake in Karnali province is a geographically remote district, yet rich with untapped potential for tourism. Stepping into Dai Lake, celebrated as a treasure trove of Khas art, culture and heritage, brings a unique sense of joy. Journey begins amid its natural beauty, leading us toward Mahabu Rural Municipality. As we leave the mid-hill highway, the terrain becomes challenging, with hilly, muddy roads demanding patience and skill. Long lines of vehicles crawl carefully along the cliffs, reflecting both the difficulty of the route and the enduring devotion of Mahabu Dham. Many travelers choose to continue on foot, advancing step by step toward their destination. Passing through Channa, Dasarathi, Okharbanz, Bhavsaini, Noli and Unipata, pilgrims ascend the slopes toward Lisne before finally reaching Mahabu Patan. Pilgrims from Dai Lake and nearby districts often arrive late at night, having begun their journey the previous day. The path to Mahabu Dham is thrilling, adventurous and breathtaking, made even more dramatic by the steady rain, drifting fog and steep inclines. Yet the journey itself feels uniquely rewarding. Mahabu Lake or Mahabu Dham, located within Mahabu Rural Municipality, is a remarkable place of natural beauty, religious significance and cultural heritage. Situated at an altitude of 4,200 meters, the area is adorned with emerald lakes, grazing flocks of sheep and goats, and a sky that dances with Himalayan mist. Every year, during Janai Purnima, a grand fair is held here, drawing thousands of devotees from across the region. Mahabu Dham's spiritual importance is deeply rooted in the ancient worship of Lord Shiva, revered here as the origin site. From Mahabu Lake, visitors can enjoy magnificent views of Api and Sai Palhimal, and on clear days, even the plains of Bardia. Given its religious importance and natural splendor, Mahabu Dham holds immense potential as a religious tourism destination. Improving the rough, narrow access roads is essential for supporting this growth. Mahabu Dham is more than a pilgrimage site. It is a confluence of culture, history, faith, and nature. To truly appreciate its significance, one must visit Mahabu Lake at least once, immerse oneself in its natural beauty, and experience the serene environment that leaves a lasting impression.
Welcome to another episode of The Hinterlands on NTV World. This weekly show brings together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and the highways into the heart of Nepal's rural landscapes. I am Rosina Rai, and we will be leading you into this journey every week. Welcome to the show. Tonight we have beautiful reports on the blooming of rhododendrons, Tharu Holi Festival, the fading tradition of Balan culture, and an inspiring story of a woman's progress from Sangja district of Nepal. Let's begin with the Laliguras rhododendron blossoms in the hilly and Himalayan regions of Nepal. Their vibrant blossoms create a floral paradise that attracts tourists from near and far. This is the first week of March, and across the high hills and mountains of Nepal, a breathtaking spectacle is unfolding. The hills are alive with the vibrant blossoms of the national flower, the rhododendron, known as Laliguras. From March through April, Nepal's highland transformed into a painter's palette, as 32 species of rhododendrons burst into bloom, painting the forest in sets of red, pink, and white. The full bloom in the hilly and Himalayan regions, especially in places like Gulmi, Bhojpur, Thankuta, Ghorepani, Langtang, Rara, and Kanchenjunga national parks, along with the Kathmandu hills, is nothing short of mesmerizing. For travelers and nature enthusiasts, it is a must-see paradise on earth. In western Nepal, the forest of Gulmi Resunga turned into a floral wonderland, dominated by the brilliant red of the rhododendrons. Visitors flock from near and far, some to marvel at the sight, others to capture it in photographs. The fiery crimson flowers symbolizes vitality, beauty, and renewal, making the rhododendrons forest of Nepal a living emblem of the nation. Nepal's rhododendron bloom are unique, the flowers changing color according to elevation, deep red at lower altitudes, gradually shifting to pink and pure white as one climbs up. These vibrant forests brighten the rugged mountain landscape and offer a profound cultural connection. However, there is a shift in the bloom season this year. What once blossomed in later February now appears as early as January, a subtle signal of rising temperatures and climate change. Many of the old majestic rhododendron trees are drying up, and with limited conservation efforts, the future of Laliguras in Gulmi district and other hilly regions of the country are uncertain. Celebrating their bloom is beautiful, but protecting them is essential. These hills of red must continue to enchant generations to come. Have you ever heard of Holi, the festival of colors lasting for more than a month? Yes, you heard right. In the Rana Tharu settlements of Nepal's far western region, the celebrations typically continue for 1 month and 8 days. Here is a report of longest Holi celebrations by Bijeda Bhandari.
The Rana Tharu community in Nepal's far western plains celebrates Hori, similar to the Festival of Colors Holi, with distinctive traditions that unfold over several weeks. The early phase of the festival is known as Jinda Hori. From the full moon day of Nepali month of Magh to the full moon of Phagun, community members gather at night to dance in groups to the rhythm of drums and madal. Young people and elders alike take part, turning the celebrations into a lively communal gathering. After the ritual of Holika Dahan, when a bonfire is lit to mark the burning of the demoness Holika, the second phase called Mari Hori begins. Mari Hori, meaning dead Hori, continues for another 8 days. During this time, people wear traditional attire and travel around villages during the day performing Hori dances. The final day of Mari Hori is known as Khaktehara, which holds special significance. On Khaktehara, Dashera day, villagers gather early in the morning to break a ceremonial mud pot filled with symbolic items such as eye coal, vermilion, and mud marbles woven into wooden pigs. The pot is then taken to the outskirts of the village and shattered according to ritual, symbolizing the end of evils and diseases within the community.
गाउँदेखि अर्कोको सिमानामा गएर चाहिँ त्यसलाई फोड्ने दाह संस्कार गर्ने ल हाम्रो नगर चाहिँ राम्रो होस् र यो जुन दुख पीडा जुन अब यताउता जुन रोग बिमारी छ नि यसलाई सबै लिएर देवी माता लिएर जानु होला भनेर हामी त्यसलाई विदाई गरेर पठाउँछौँ.
Afterward, families invite relatives, friends, and companions to share traditional sweets and dishes. However, according to tradition, Hori is considered fully concluded only after the Charai festival is observed later around mid-March. For the Rana Tharu community, Hori is celebrated as a symbol of the victory of truth over falsehood. The festival is also believed to strengthen unity, brotherhood, and cultural identity within the community. Recognizing its cultural importance, local governments have also been supporting traditional costumes and cultural programs during the celebrations.
संरक्षण गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने हिसाबले मौलिक पर्वलाई भनौं सम्मान र प्राथमिकता दिएको छ.
For the Rana Tharu community, Hori is not only a joyful festival but also a symbol of tradition, culture, and social harmony, as this centuries-old practice continues to enrich the cultural identity of Nepal's far western region.
Until a few decades ago, Balan, also known as the Brahmin dance, was a vibrant and integral part of Hindu-Nepali culture. However, with the younger generations showing little interest in learning and continuing the tradition, Balan now faces the risk of gradual disappearance from Nepal's cultural landscape. More in this report. Balan, or Brahmin dance, has long remained a unique and fascinating cultural attraction throughout Nepal. It is a traditional Nepali devotional folk performance that combines singing, storytelling, and rhythmic dance deeply rooted in the Brahmin and Kshetri communities across the country. Predominantly performed in Nepal's hilly region, Palpa, Dailek, Doti, Sangza, among others. Through its songs, Balan narrates the divine acts and incarnation of Hindu deities since the time of creation. However, this tradition, primarily devoted to glorifying Hindu gods and goddesses, is rarely performed these days and is on the verge of disappearance. Cultural experts stress the influence of modernization and the declining enthusiasm among youth to continue this cultural legacy has contributed to the gradual disappearance of this Hindu tradition. The performance draws from sacred Hindu texts such as the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, Ramcharitra, Krishna Charitra, and the stories of the 10 incarnations of Lord Vishnu, making it a deeply religious performance. It is performed by an expert Balan troupe, locally known as Agara. A typical Balan troupe consists of around 25 members who sing and dance together. The performance begins with an arati, during which deities are worshipped and invoked through devotional songs. Balan is traditionally performed overnight during religious ceremonies such as Satyanarayan Puja, Bala Chaturdasi, and Ekadasi. Occasions that involve a night-long devotional vigil dedicated to worship. In recent years, younger generations have increasingly drifted toward modern entertainment and Western-influenced music, leading to a loss of interest in traditional folk practices. Cultural activists are calling for its preservation through inclusion in school curriculum and promoting through local festivals. We are at the end of today's program, but before we wrap up, we bring you a report from the hinterlands of Nepal's Sangza district, where women are proving unstoppable despite geographical, political changes and limited opportunities. They are empowered and inspiring thousands of women in remote places of the country. Rural women's empowerment in Nepal is undergoing a gradual transformation marked by notable legal political progress. Despite these advancements, many women in rural areas continue to face deep-rooted patriarchal norms and limited economic autonomy. However, after a long struggle for equality, visible changes are emerging in the lives of women in remote parts of the country, including Sangja, Nepal. In recent years, women who were once largely silent have begun to challenge traditional boundaries. Once confined mainly to household chores, many are now actively engaged in economic activities and administrative roles. Today, numerous women in the district have become skilled and confident through vocational training programs introduced by local governments and other stakeholders. Training in sewing, weaving, mushroom farming, and the cultivation of other cash crops under the Rural Women's Empowerment Initiative has helped transform their daily lives. Their efforts are increasingly meeting local demand for agricultural produce, locally stitched clothing, and handicrafts. In many communities of Sangja, rural women are now forming the backbone of the agricultural sector. At the same time, the growth of women-led cooperatives and microfinance initiatives is promoting financial independence and strengthening women's role in household decision-making. Across the district's 11 local administrative units, this shift is becoming more visible as women participate more actively in the workforce. Not long ago, many women hesitated even to speak about their rights. Today, the reality is changing. These initiatives are not only generating income but also enabling women to contribute financially to their families, giving them a stronger voice within their households and communities. Supported by the policies that promote gender equality, women are increasingly visible and active in politics, administration, education, health, business, and community leadership. Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories are shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by hope. This is the Hinterlands, and we will be back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. Do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, social media handles, and our YouTube channel also. I'm Rosina Rai. Thank you for watching NTV World. Goodbye for now.
कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन।
अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड। रमाइलो आउने। यस 2 1 बन्जी।
डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो, जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लाएर नर्मल जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँहरूले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ।
लेट्स गो।
last resort, offering adventurous thrill over Bhotekosi River in Sindhupalchok district of central Nepal. From the launch pad, a suspension bridge over the river, a free fall 160 meters down the gorge. This bridge had been the launch pad for the courageous and adventure seekers for years. But on this day, the jump was not just about adrenaline rush, but also about defiance, about breaking the barriers. Dilip, a fierce advocate for inclusive tourism, has spent years pushing boundaries, paragliding, ziplining, even bungee jumping without a chair.
म अपङ्गता भइसके पछाडी म आफूलाई कसरी रिफ्रेश बनाउने त म आफै चाहिँ कसरी ह्याप्पी हुन्छु भनेर आफैलाई बुझ्दाखेरि चाहिँ मैले घुम्दा ट्राभलहरू गर्दा एडभेन्चरहरू गर्दा अझ म बढी आफै खुसी भएको पाएँ। अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ मलाई मैले प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरेँ। प्याराग्लाइडिङहरू गरिसके पछाडी बन्जी पनि गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने लाग्यो अनि मैले बन्जी गरेँ। बन्जी गरेपछि होइन अब यो बन्जीलाई पनि एकचोटि व्हीलचेयरमा पनि बन्जी गर्नुपर्छ हैन। नेपालमा म चाहिँ अपङ्गता भएका साथीहरूले चाहिँ एडभेन्चरकोमा चाहिँ अलि पछाडी देखिने, उहाँहरू खासै त्यति धेरै एडभेन्चरहरू गर्नलाई त्यस्तो खेलहरू खेल्नलाई डराउने, यस्तो हुन्छ उस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने उहाँहरूको चाहिँ मेन्टालिटी पनि थियो र ती मेन्टालिटीलाई पनि चिर्नुपर्छ। मैले यो सकिन्छ, हामीले पनि खेल्न सक्छौँ, गर्न सक्छौँ र एउटा चाहिँ समावेशी पर्यटनलाई पनि यो एउटा वकालत पनि हुन्छ। नेपाल सरकार लगायत सम्बन्धित निकायलाई यो वकालतको पनि एडभोकेसी पनि गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने उद्देश्य राखेर मैले चाहिँ बन्जी गरेको।
Sisir, an agricultural entrepreneur living with spinal paralysis, has turned his challenges into advocacy.
म honestly भन्नुपर्दा यो चाहिँ पुरै अनप्लान्ड नै हो हैन। जति पनि मेरो लाइफमा म जति पनि एडभेन्चर अथवा गर्छु हैन, त्यति धेरै प्लान गरेर चाहिँ गर्दिम भनेपछि गर्दिम भन्ने टाइपले चाहिँ यसको लागि चाहिँ म विशेष धन्यवाद हाम्रो दिलीप सरलाई म दिन चाहन्छु है। उहाँले मलाई थाहा नै नदिकन ल आज जाम भनेर भन्नुभयो। मैले आज भोलि हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्दैछौँ भनेर हिजो दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि, हामी काठमाडौँबाट हिँडेको मान्छे दोलालघाट आइपुगेपछि थाहा पाएको। सो अब गरौँ न त, आइसक्यो भनेर चाहिँ हैन एउटा अनुभव पनि हुन्छ लाइफमा। हामी जस्तो अपाङ्गता भएको व्यक्तिले पनि गर्न सकिन्छ है भन्ने टाइपले हैन। अनि त्यहाँबाट अरूलाई मोटिभेट गर्नलाई साथसाथै अब आफ्नो पनि एउटा रिफ्रेसमेन्टको लागि चाहिँ अब आज हामी बन्जी जम्प गर्न जाँदैछौँ।
Together, the goal was clear: to inspire thousands and redefine what people with disabilities can achieve. A wheelchair bungee jump was no ordinary feat. It demanded innovation, precision, and absolute commitment. The team designed a secure rigging system, checked every bolt and knot, ensuring the wheelchairs and harnesses could withstand the extreme forces.
सेट अब खासै त्यस्तो डिफरेन्ट त होइन, उहाँहरूको अब स्पेसल अलिकति समस्या भएर त्यो अनुसारको सेफ तरिकाले गर्ने अर्को डिफ्रेन्ट आइडियाहरू हुन्छ हाम्रो। जस्तै अब खुट्टामा लगाएर नर्मली जम्प गर्नुपर्ने, उहाँले चाहिँ हामी बडीमा मात्रै लगाएर जम्प गराउँछौँ। सो खुट्टामा चाहिँ केही पनि प्रेसर पर्दैन, ढाडमा पनि कम प्रेसर पर्छ। सो त्यसरी गर्दा चाहिँ उहाँलाई एकदम कम्फर्टेबल हुन्छ। अनि प्लस अब उहाँले अब तल गएर तान्नुपर्ने हुक गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरू हुन्छ, सकेसम्म उहाँहरूले ट्राई गर्नु भएन भने हामी एकजना रेस्क्यु स्ट्यान्ड बाई हुन्छ। अनि त्यसको लागि चाहिँ हामी अलिक प्रिपेयर गरेर गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। अब सेफ्टीको हिसाबले अलिकति डिफ्रेन्ट तरिका चाहिँ अपनाउनु पर्यो हामीले।
This was not a stunt, it was proof that adventure can be made accessible.
34 अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय अपङ्गता दिवस हो। सो यो अपङ्गता दिवसकै दिनमा चाहिँ के एउटा चाहिँ एडभेन्चर गरौँ हैन। अब कसैले पनि अब व्हीलचेयरमै चाहिँ बन्जी गर्नुभएको छैन, त्यसको लागि पनि एउटा चाहिँ पहिलोचोटि गरिदिएर अरू साथीहरूलाई पनि एउटा चाहिँ इन्करेज गरौँ भन्ने चाहना हो खास।
At the edge of the platform, silence fell. Dilip rolled forward first. The count began.
Happy International Disability Day, all of you.
A symbol of confinement transformed into a vessel of freedom, probably the first ever wheelchair bungee jump in Nepal.
Promax bungee!
खासै अहिले चाहिँ पुरा म नर्मल चाहिँ एकदम चिल भएको छु हैन अब यहाँ हामफाल्दाखेरि चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ म हामफालिसकेपछि अनुभव सुनाउँछु अहिले चाहिँ आई एम भेरी एक्साइटेड आई एम गोइङ टु डु समथिङ फर माइसेल्फ हैन आई एम गोइङ टु डु माई फर्स्ट बन्जी अफ माई लाइफ so I'm very excited.
Then came Cecir's turn. With equal determination, he embraced the drop.
Well, let's go.
His leap cemented the moment, not a solo feat, but a shared victory.
Yes. उहाँले आर यु रेडी भन्नुभयो मैले ठिक छ म रेडी भने मैले आँखा चिम्म गरिदिएँ अनि त्यसपछि ठ्याक्कै उहाँले 1 2 3 जम्प भन्नुभयो उहाँले पुस गरिदिनु भयो मलाई म पुस गरेको आँखा चिम्मको चिम्म तल पुगेपछि ठ्याक्क त्यो डोरीले तान्छ नि तानेर माथि आएपछि त्यो समय चाहिँ मैले यस्तो फिल गरेँ कि म बाँचेँ हैन मसँग अब चाहिँ सबै चिजहरू मसँग फेरि पनि छ र मलाई चाहिँ एकदमै आनन्द त्यो टाइमको त्यो 2 सेकेन्ड 3 सेकेन्डको एउटा चाहिँ ह्याप्पिनेस एउटा त्यो रिफ्रेस एउटा त्यो फिलले चाहिँ एकदमै ह्याप्पी दियो क्या मलाई इनर्जी भित्रदेखि मसँग भइरहेको सिद्धिरहेको एउटा चाहिँ इनर्जीलाई ठ्याक्क दियो त्यो झर्दाखेरिको चाहिँ मेरो माइन्ड पुरै रिसेट भइदियो जस्तो भयो क्या केही पनि छैन म एकदमै निलो एकदम नील मसँग केही पनि छैन रित्तियो सकियो मैले सबै चिज छोडिदिएर म झरिसकेको थिएँ हाम फालिसकेको थिएँ तर पुगेर ठ्याक्क तानेर ल्याउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो एउटा मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लाइफको चाहिँ एकदम इन्जोयफुल मुभमेन्ट हो जसले चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ आजको दिनसम्म अझ धेरै उत्प्रेरणाहरू जगाएको एउटा मुभमेन्ट हो त्यो मुभमेन्ट चाहिँ मेरो लागि एकदम मेमोरियल पनि छ
Dilip and Cecir's jump was more than a thrill. It was a loud scream demanding change, a call for accessible tourism.
Accessibility के कुराहरु हुन्छ के हजुरको जस्तो अब मैले पोखरामा प्याराग्लाइडिङ गर्दाखेरि कायाकिङ गर्दाखेरि हैन अप्पर मुस्ताङ चाहिँ हजुरको चाहिँ त्यो अफ रोड गाडीमै जाँदाखेरिको कुराहरुमा चाहिँ अलिकति एक्सेसिबल अलिकति हामीलाई चाहिँ पहुँचयुक्त चाहिँ ठाउँहरु भइदेखि अलिकति सजिलो हुन्थ्यो भनौं न अब यो झोलुङ्गे पुलहरुबाट गरिन्छ हैन त्यहाँ चाहिँ हल्का र्याम्प के जस्तो व्हीलचेयरकै लागि पनि एउटा स्ट्र्याप राख्दाखेरि त काठको एउटा भनौं न त्यो फ्लोरिङ जस्तै टाइपले गर्दै भने त हेल्प गर्ने असिस्ट गर्नेलाई पनि सजिलो हुने अनि हामीलाई पनि सजिलो हुने चाहिँ हुन्छ
Power is often misunderstood. We think of it as control, coercion, or even command. But history shows that the most durable power is persuasion without force, what we now call soft power. Welcome to Geopard. I'm Shivani Thapa Bosniak. My guest today does not speak or carry emblems around, yet globally, he may be one of Nepal's most effective representatives. A Grammy nominee, a global music collaborator and creator whose music carries Nepal into spaces diplomacy rarely reaches. Let him introduce in the language that he best speaks to the world.
साँझमा तिमी यो शान्त मनमा शान्त जगाउनु मृग तृष्णासरी जीवनमा के छ पाउनु भन के नै गुमाउनु किन मान्छे यहाँ आफ्नै भुलमा पनि एक्लै एक्लै यहाँ गाली र दोषको भुमरीमा रुमल्ली रुमल्ली रहन्छन् बुद्धकै भई बाँसुरी श्री कृष्णकै बजाउनु बुद्धकै भई आउनु बाँसुरी श्री कृष्णकै बजाउनु मृग तृष्णासरी जीवनमा के छ पाउनु भन के नै गुमाउनु
And that possibly was the best language the audience could read you. Manoj Newa, dear viewers, the first ever Nepali Grammy nominee to the world, and this is the language that the world understands from Manoj, from what they and how they read Manoj and how they read Nepal. Welcome to Geopod, Manoj.
Thank you, Shivani.
The first time I saw you performing, I stood there questioning myself who this guy is.
Playing the bamboo flute.
Right, yeah. And I'm sure many can relate to that very quick. Before we talk about music, who were you before music happened?
Let me go back. I grew up in Bauda, Kathmandu. And I think I was 8 years old. I was in my bed. There was no electricity. And the dark of the night, a very mystical sound I heard. It was so, something so magical that changed my life. So before that, I think I was just a kid trying to,
An 8-year-old.
8-year-old, yeah. I'm still looking for that sound. I'm still longing for that sound. And in that process of looking for that sound, I got to meet all this beautiful sound. I'm actually sure that was the sound I heard is Lord Krishna playing flute. And that's my inspiration still now to look, how could something can be so beautiful?
Right. I can visualize, as you talk, I'm visualizing an 8-year-old around a very, a very picturesque and a very rich setting like Baudanath, running around playing with his mates, probably marble or chungi or something like that, right?
Totally.
And then you grew up in this city, so vibrant, with so sounds, right? Temples, bells, monasteries.
Monasteries.
And there's silence as well, the streets, right?
Yep.
When did you actually realize this was not only a sound of the background, but your calling?
When we do something, like a project, there's a process. The music, I'm talking about the inner music. Of course, the world has, everything has a sound. Even there is no sound, there's a sound. There's a live sound, there is not a live sound. even a noise is a sound in the right context. Noise can be music in the right place, no? Since I was a real kid, I have a very distinct clarity of a different sound in my ear. To have the clarity in that sound, the shades of sound, you know, the longing for it, the motivation to look for that sound, that connection, whatever you call it. You can say my spiritual awakening, but that's what made me.
So it was natural and born to you. Right?
And that's a process of looking for instruments and people and music.
And how did training and technique happen to you? At what age?
My house is in front of Bodhanath Stupa. In my third floor, I look, there's the eyes of Buddha looking at me. Our prayer flags are fluttering, the Tibetan horns, the monastic sound, the prayer wheels. Can you imagine? To able to just be there, to just witness that as a kid. And, just walk down, you go to Pasupatinath there, sit in front of, all the sadhus and the ghats. It's for a kid to have that experience, to realize our life is so precious. And same time, it's not something to have the ego for it, because everyone has to somehow, to able to see that. It taught me so much, Shivani. It taught me so much to be who I am today. It's taught to, we have seen what teaches us who we are in the depth. Who am I? Real me. Who Shivani? Who Manoj? Who real I am? That's a beautiful question to ask.
Right. So the large part of what you are today, or what you have been able to cater to the world, is the surroundings that you grew up in. That's exactly what you're trying to say.
It is really influenced by that. I'm very grateful for that.
When did you actually realize that this is going to be your language for the world for the rest of your life?
I never thought I would take this journey as a profession. I never even. I could just play a note in the bamboo flute, my bansuri. Just one note all day, and get so satisfied inside. And I would hear, it will melt me so deep inside. I'm so happy. Wow, how could something be so beautiful? And that also drive me to practice. Again, look, there's motivation and there's a drive for practice, which was, nobody's telling me to do that. It was the inner fire. Oh my God. I'll wake up first thing, I'll think about practicing. I'll go to bed, think about practicing next morning. It's like total in love.
So you're drawn to it naturally.
Oh my God. I could not stop. I just practice I would practice for let's say 6-7 hours a day or 8 hours a day. Even in my sleep, I will be practicing. In my thoughts, this. And so practice sort of drove me to the places that people started to recognize me. Oh wow, this guy is not normal. He's not normal at all. So, I was very fortunate. Kirateswar Sangeeta Ashram is one of the pioneer place that was started the full moon concert, devotional music and plus Nepali Shastriya Sangeet, last 35 years. So every full moon they do the free concerts. So I was able to meet my teacher there, Sri Madandev Bhatta. He saw the potential on me and he started to you need to learn. Wow, to find a teacher with that drive, my God. Now, Swargiya Homnath Upadhyay, he was, one of my influence then. And then I met Dr. Dovesh Chandra Rekmi, all these people, Atul Gautam. And these are the, the pillars that time to kind of bring me to this music scene. And then I started coming to Radio Nepal, Nepal Television then, and slowly finding my way. Actually, the music can make a profession. They start to understand, wow, people want me to come play with them, and they want me to pay. You know, I remember playing for one project for that German what is it? Goethe Institute.
Goethe Institute.
Yes,
right,
and
right.
I played in that time Royal Academy, we used to call that. And after the concert we did, my part was just 5 minutes playing, and they handed me 7,000 rupees. That was lots of money then. And I thought it was a mistake.
Oh my God. This must have been like almost 3 decades ago, was it?
Yes,
wow.
yes.
You must have been a kid then.
I was a kid. I was like a 17,
teenager
18.
probably,
yeah,
right?
17, 18, and I'll do music every day just because I love it so much, and it heals me. As you know, music has so much healing power. Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about your signature instrument, Basuri. So deceptively simple it is, right?
Yes.
Right. Just a bamboo and breath.
That's right.
At least for a layman like me, who is not like an expert in music. Why did something so minimal as Basuri, as we see it, felt so powerful enough for you to carry it as an instrument to express yourself?
That's a beautiful question. Basuri is not just a Nepali thing. It goes everywhere in the world. Everywhere. If you really look at the history of the flute, the oldest instrument they have found so far in the world is a flute. It's made out of bone.
Really?
Isn't that amazing? So something with the wind, with the breath, and going through the cylinder, and even like Bhagwan Krishna. He's playing it.
What is this thing? I've heard and read so much about, the Krishna element of your musical journey somewhere. I don't exactly remember where. What is this element about your musical journey and the fascination with the
I'm inspired by very much of Mahabharata, and and what Krishna was guiding Arjuna. I get, life is a book. You have a choice to believe or not, whatever it is. But personally, it helps me to bring that Krishna element in my music, And when I close my eyes, when I play, it's brings me to the place of non-duality. Wherever I go, wherever I play in Japan or Chile or you name it, on 2 notes I play, energy shifts. I don't have to speak a language. I don't have to worry about how I look. I don't have to worry about my color of my skin. I would love to see the world that, they celebrate. Just each culture can celebrate their
right.
And
the universality of it, the harmony it disseminates.
Exactly.
I can't really wait, Manoj, for you to pick that flute out there and do that magic. I don't feel the need and the urge to, speak more and just let this flow, because this, I believe, is a music coming from a soul meant to cater to the soul, right? In this age, Manoj, where, majority of the artists who are, what you call chasing mastery in whatever they're undertaking, you seem to have chased meaning.
That's the thing. More you know, less you know. I learn every day. Again, I learn from everyone. There's a sound, let's say there's a 7 sound, Sat Sur we call it. Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa. So within that, all the music, whatever here, it's inside that thing. But how mysterious it is for me is what is audible and what is not audible. It just because you cannot hear, it's not audible. It doesn't exist. You know what I mean? For example, what we see right now is a certain frequency. For example, if you put a grasshopper, it will see the ultraviolet, but we won't. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist there. Our existence is so mysterious, and we think this is it. Oh my God, you're wrong. You're wrong. And so more you know, less you know, because it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And again, I'm coming back to sorry to bring in again the spirituality in the geopod, but that's where I surrender. What else?
How much music helps to dig deeper?
The power of music can really help to people to open their heart. We talk about compassion, we talk about karuna, we can talk about, unity. So how to bring together a people in a place that there's no fear, complete trust. The world is a mess because they cannot trust each other. You cannot trust. I don't know why people not trusting each other. Personally, I think there's enough for everyone. There's plenty is given to us. But somehow we are. Maybe it's a human thing, We are afraid that we don't have enough. But music, I play for you. It's not going to cost anything, We share. My experience of going around the world, music and cooking together, that's going to bring the world together. So we need to share our culture, our music, our food, but the uniqueness of what we have, it needs to be preserved.
Right.
It so need to be preserved. Otherwise, like for example, I was in Egypt a couple of years ago. All those temples are there, amazing temples. But there's no worshippers. They're just tourists. A temple without worshippers. Sometimes I worry about our country in that way. Can you imagine people stop going around Pasupati and Buddha and they just stay on their phone? My God.
Not everybody who comes to that seat, Manoj, talks with this intensity. Manoj, your journey took you far beyond Nepal. So you're currently based in?
I'm based in very near Silicon Valley in California. This place called Santa Cruz. It's a surfing town, beautiful place. And also based here in Kathmandu.
Your audience is wide and large, right? So many among these audiences, I believe, do not really understand the cultural or the musical or the linguistic roots that your work is coming from. What do you think they're connecting with?
We're all trying to get some love. That's it, at the end. When you're the mother, the child, we're looking for, mother's attention, and mother looks at the child, and that karuna, mamata we call it, that's love. Just the facial expression of a child can release the oxytocin in your body, and that you have that caring energy for that child.
You're just the trigger.
Yeah, it's a for example, I just want to pick in geopod, like in this global world we live in. I mean, Internet was created in USA, isn't it? If internet was not created, the world would be very, very different now. No? There's a positive side of it. The world has become very small in the information matter. But same time, we are feeling away from each other. We're feeling more separated. I wonder why. And it's so interesting. So I'm telling this to myself as well. We need to connect more in inner net, not internet.
That's a wonderful way of putting it, right?
I know. This is how it is.
Right.
And it's amazing.
We've sort of lost touch of the internet owing to the internet,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So we need to reverse that.
Everyone is in the phone. Everyone. That's what one thing that disappoints me. It's everyone is so distracted. So distracted. Even me.
How difficult is it for creators like you? How has internet affected creators like you?
Oh, it's interesting. It's very disappointing some point because the good things doesn't get to seen. The bad things get spiked right away. You know, that's the human psychology of survival. What sells? Violence sells. Sex sells. You know, so people are so put into that plate of survival, they cannot think of anything else because they have to think of what they're gonna make next day, what they're gonna feed their children next day. If you're in that place, how can you think about, being a wonderful unity place and creating music? There's no time. So, for example, if there is too many dishes in your plate, then you're not going to appreciate any food because you don't know what to eat.
About your work, Manoj, your work is happening in a very, very unique space, a rare space, that's how I see it, between Nepali folk music to Indian classical raga, and then there's also one of the very prominent part is the global spiritual element that you incorporate in your music, right? It's so rare, so unique, and so beautiful. Just out of curiosity, did you ever feel the pressure to simplify your sound for wider acceptance?
That's one of my advantages of being in the West and able to play the bansuri. The way I played was it was almost like hybrid. I could play the way that was soothing for Western ears, because when I moved to US, it was around like in 1998, 2000. The yoga culture was very booming, and when I started to play, some of those all the kirtans and the spiritual song, it was incorporated even into movies, big movie, Matrix and all this. They would use the Sanskrit mantras and all this in their background music. And so you can play the same note. For example, just give you a little bit of an example of this. This sounds very Nepali,
right?
And it could be on the mountain. But if I say,
that's the signature of Manoj Newana.
So if I play same flute, but I'll. It sounds very different. It sounds very more towards, Scottish, Irish, that sound. Because the way they they play and how they incorporate the accent, the textures, is very different. Again, I'm coming back to the same. What kind of spectrum you are listening into? What you are, when the kid was. When they are conceived, the first organ that developed was hearing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's so interesting that the kids are listening, all the things. The blueprint of that kid is deciding then what mom is listening. Isn't that amazing? And other thing, when you take a last breath, when you're dying, the last sense that's going to lose is also hearing. So people think the person is dead, but actually you'll be listening still, because that's the sense, last sense he will have. So listening is such a big power.
Right, you're taking me to various zones. I thought I'd be talking about music and diplomacy, but here I am transported to some metaphysical. But this is wonderful to know. I can really gauge the intensity of a creator's mind and the creator's soul, right? Such a wonderful and warming conversation this has become. And this is also making me wonder, when you perform abroad, Manoj, do you think primarily of the music, or are you always aware about your presence, Nepal, or audience? What is that awareness level when you really perform?
Well, to have this wonderful instrument, which is Nepali instrument, that's already, people are already, like the way I play, because of, again, why Manoj then? Why people want Manoj's sound? Because I'm so blessed, I'm grateful to Pashupatinath and Bodhanath. I had a advantage, or somehow I could play that I can make my own accent that's soothing to the Western ear. Yesterday I got a call from Hollywood. They needed a track. Why they call me, There's so many flute players out there, because they heard me and they like my accent. And there is, so I'm grateful to that, because I was flexible. I didn't say this is my way and I'm going to stay that way, And I'm glad that I was able to, practice with the people and who are very open-minded, And in music, you have to be open-minded.
As a creator, from what I read from you, from this very, very short conversation I had, the ability to blend into the vastness of music or the earth itself is very, very important.
It's very important.
For a creator.
Very, very important. Coming to Nepal, for me, it inspires me so much. Tomorrow, I would request you one thing, Shivani. The first sound you will hear in your bed in the morning, the first sound when you wake up, notice that sound, if you can. The first tweet of the bird, which awakes the whole world, that tweet.
How does that make a difference?
Well, you'll know it.
You'll have to
I cannot explain, because that tweet is such a gentle tweet, but it's the most powerful tweet.
What is the power of music that political narratives don't?
So what kind of ripple you're going to create, how we're going to create, what are those elements going to help you? It all depends on that. And music is, again, it's music. Nobody can stop music, Music, the real music comes between the notes. It's the silence. I would love to see Nepal hosting World Music Festival. I would love to see that. Bringing some amazing musicians and bringing. I remember going to Indonesia a long time ago, and the government has initiated this festival, and they want all the instruments that made out of bamboo. And they chose me to be part of it. And everybody bringing the bamboo instruments, from drums to it was. So I want to request to our government and people who influence to bring world stage, give them a platform so they could celebrate. They can learn from here as well as collaborate with the musicians here. And not just music, dance, cuisines, and like we have so much to offer.
Do you not think Nepal lags hugely on the confidence side when it comes to music, that we largely wait for external validation?
That's our part of our culture, I would say. Like the one to say, the expectation. Myself, in my family, we are so not saying that we need to do it ourselves and we're going to do it. We think, oh, maybe my dad will do it or my mother will do it. It's something that the expectation culture we have. That kind of attitude. But it's now we need to move ahead. We need to open that door, and it's not just, and confidence comes again from the claiming our culture. We need to claim back our culture. We're so influenced by everything West is great. Everything comes from West is great. There are great things about West, but we have also so many amazing things we have. We need to claim it, and then we can exchange. We can teach them. For example, like yoga. All this come from our culture, isn't it? Now, I'm bringing my friend who's a yoga teacher who is teaching yoga to us. So, you see that. That's so we need to.
How can you do it? Like, looking at your journey, what possibilities do you see if Nepal chooses to engage more internationally? How can we do it?
I just saw this documentary about Queen, our Queen, Lakpa Sherpa.
Right.
My God, it touched my heart so much. A single woman coming from a mountain, fighting all the way to, this patriarchal society with her, with her Western husband to, she never gave up. Found her stage in the world. She plowed through. Nobody could stop her, no? This is the country where Buddha chose to be born. He could have gone born anywhere, but he chose here. This is the place. We have so much to offer to the world. We have so many amazing. Nepali people are so resilient. They travel to find a better life for their family. They sacrifice everything. They go work so hard in 60 degrees Celsius heat. They climb mountains that no oxygen. They, they go fight for others' war. It's been like that for centuries. Now that needs to be stopped.
Right.
We need to work together. We need to come together as a brothers and sisters and put away all the differences, and make one song together. Song together, we can all sing. That's what I think.
Right, wonderfully said. Manoj, let's talk about the Grammy moment. What was it like?
Oh my God. Well, it was 2020. I've been very blessed to also to collaborate with some Westerner musicians. One of them was Deva Pramal and Miten. They were, Miten and Deva, they were very inspired by Eastern philosophy. Also, actually, they were very inspired by Osho's world. And through that, they got to learn a lot about the mantras and the beauty of what our music can bring to the people, the serenity, the healing power of music. So when they heard I'm playing the flute in such a unique way, they thought, wow, this boy is good, So I started to collaborate with them, travel with them for almost like 15, 16 years. I've traveled so many places. And through them, their platform, I've really I've reached out to many people in the different countries, And one of the album that we did together it was actually Ravi Shankar's daughter, Anushka Shankar, is also guest artist in the album. And it was very lucky that it deserved it. It was amazingly produced. And when I went to Los Angeles to be there with 10,000 people in the Staple Arena, it was amazing. I wore a Nepali dress and put instead of kukri, I put my bansuri.
Wow. Did it by any chance change you as a musician?
I don't believe in the place that you have to give an award to recognize music, The music again, the music I play, it doesn't need anybody's validation. Music is so powerful, and we all have our own songs. Nobody can tell you're not singing well, or you're not good enough. No, that's so wrong. So I want everybody find their own voice. So never tell your kid that you cannot sing. You say you sing. You have an amazing voice, and you practice, it'll come to you.
From what I see, Manoj, is you're not only disseminating or giving away the things that you have in your soul, right? You're also gathering a lot of things in pieces, maybe in substance, and those that are intangible, from places that you travel and that you do intensively. Yeah. Right? So if you could walk us through a few, I'm sure our audience are going to love it.
Yeah, well, let me see, what can I do? I call this one Kachua.
Huh? Okay.
Look like a Kachua, no?
That's a Nepali name for it.
Nepali name, Kachua.
Okay.
But this one particularly comes from Russia. It's a part of, it's somewhere in mid-Russia. It's very beautifully carved, and they call it hand pan. It's quite popular nowadays. And I can play this for a little bit, huh?
Who would imagine something that looks so simple as this can do wonders?
If you look at it, it's all the bells put together, like singing bowls. It's I'm sure you have gone to some sound healing. Basically, the sound of singing bowls, bells. Sounds like. Beautiful, no? Your blood pressure will be down, your heart rate would be down, and you're in a place of just pure awareness. That's what we want.
As we head forward towards wrapping up this conversation, Manoj, anything still unfinished for you, creativity or philosophically?
That's a beautiful question. For me, it's now the practice is being present. I don't long for, I want to, win Grammy next, or I want to go that. My fantasy now is more to practice to be present, to how to be present with myself, to improve, how to be more mindfulness, and how to create music that helps others. You don't need to change. I don't think you can change the country. It's not I think it's good to start with your own home, your own room. Can you do some changes in your own room? So I'm working in my own room.
Fixing your internet. That's going to be.
If I can fix myself, maybe I can think of,
Right,
it's 40 plus year now. I realize the world is We're not going to be perfect. The fantasy we think, I don't think that's going to, there's always going to be something. You know, always. Just like the road I live in Bodo, there always somebody's digging for the last 30 years.
You don't know what
I know. It's so funny. Like, no, they build the perfect road. And next day they're already digging it. God.
And that never ends.
So I just like, okay, you know, you
so
can't
this is
beat
not
them,
going to
just
end.
join them.
And finish the work.
I know. So that's where I am.
That was a beautiful anecdote that you ended with. Well, words can take us this far. We know we can go on and on, but for now, thank you so much, Manoj, for coming over, sharing with us with this. I really am falling short of words, and I'm just wishing that I would have learned a few of these notes so that I could speak better to you, right?
Well, you know, your voice, again, remember, it's not the instrument you're playing. It's every moment, every breath. Every breath is so amazing. Think about your breath, how powerful it is. You know, I would like to bring again the spirituality in our breath. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. When you inhale, that's a Brahma, the creator. When you inhale the breath, the oxygen, the lungs, nerves are going to take up, you know, oxygens. That's the Vishnu, it's the sustainer. If you don't breathe, you'll die. In 5 minutes, you're dead. No? And when you exhale, all the carbon dioxide, the things that you don't need, it's coming out. That's Maheshwar. That's transformation. So every breath, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar, Brahma, Vishnu. I tell you, Shivani, it'll change your day completely. It'll change you. It'll change your friends. It'll change your family. You just live in a total gratefulness.
Thank you, Manoj, so much. And I'm already thinking we'll need another session of interview to talk spirituality, which is again one signature of Manoj Neva. Right. You'll have to be back for that. For now, thank you so much for the great wealth of insight and the depth of, the soul that you bring to this interview.
Thank you, Shivani.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you here.
Hope to see you again.
Hopefully, for sure. It's a promise. Power does not always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives quietly through breath, as Manoj Neva so explicitly explains. Of course, bamboo, the magic bamboo that he brought us here, and memory. Manoj Neva reminds us that long before nations speak, they sound. Thank you for joining us on Geopod. See you next week.
Pokhara is undoubtedly #1 destination for tourists in Nepal. The valley, blessed with natural beauty, attracts domestic and foreign tourists alike. You must have already visited Pokhara. If you haven't or planning another trip, then these are some of the must-go places in Pokhara. The first attraction in Pokhara is the Feva Lake. Boating in Feva Lake is a ritual for every tourist visiting this paradise. The Tal Barahi temple at the center of the lake adds to the beauty of the place. A round-trip boat ride in Feva Lake to and from the temple is a feature of both the lake as well as the temple. Separate boat ride, watching the reflection of Mount Machapuchre on the lake and fishing spice up the Feva experience. The lakeside along the banks of the Phewa Lake is a popular tourist hub. Many tourists in Pokhara choose Devi's Fall as their second destination in Pokhara. The water from Phewa Lake exits towards Seti River through the Gupteshwar cave from this Devi's Fall. The mighty water stream rushing deep down into the gorge, covered by water vapor, is a magical sight. Pokhara is known as the city of lakes and caves. Many of the lakes and caves have religious importance. This is Gupteshwar cave at Chorepatan area. Inside the cave, the idol of Lord Shiva is a well-known pilgrimage. Further inside the cave, one can see the Devi's Fall. Mahendra Cave is another famous place in Pokhara, and nearby is another well-known Chamere cave. Both the caves can be visited together. Two other well-known tourist destinations in Pokhara are Begnas and Rupa lakes. Fresh fish of Begnas Lake is a sought-after delicacy. Rupa Lake is just round the corner beyond a small hill towards the eastern edge of Begnas Lake. Away from the hustle and bustle of the town, Begnas and Rupa Lakes cannot be taken out of a tourist's itinerary. This is the famous White Monastery on top of the hill above Phewa Lake. This is also a popular destination for domestic as well as foreign tourists. The top-angle bird's-eye view of Pokhara city from the monastery is a sight to behold. The placid Phewa Lake, the tall mountain range, and the birds like paragliding pilots on the background of Sarankot Hill are mesmerizing. The Bindabasini temple in Pokhara is a famous shrine in Nepal. The best route to visit the temple is on the way to Sarankot. Devotees throng the Bindabasini temple, which is atop a small hill with panoramic view of Pokhara city. The Bindabasini temple is famous among the Hindus across the country. Sarankot is a hill station on top of a hill on the northwestern side of Pokhara. A must-go place to see the majestic Mount Machapuchre and Mount Dhaulagiri in the Annapurna range in front of the eyes, and also the Pokhara and Leknath cities on the other side. Sarankot is synonymous to paragliding in Nepal. Taking off from the Sarankot hill, one can enjoy the panoramic mountain range in addition to the bird's eye view of Pokhara city. Ultralight and zip flyer offer a thrill to adventure seekers in Pokhara and are becoming major interests for tourists. Other places including Swarak in Sangja have the potential to be world's best place for paragliding. First time in Nepal, Paragliding Accuracy World Cup was held at this place, situated at Mahapur of Virkot municipality of the district. The place drew global attention after the event. Pokhara, famous tourism destination of the country. Majority of locals engaged in tourism industry. The city of lakes and caves, hub of aviation sports. Some major destinations: Lakeside, Phewa Lake and Tal Barahi Temple, Begnas and Rupa Lakes. Mahendra Gufa.
Home Bahadur Tamang, a gifted Thanka artist from the spiritual heart of Bodha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
थाङ्का चाहिँ मैले 1970 सिक्न सुरुवात गरेको मेरो टिचर चाहिँ म भन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो साइला दाइ मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो पाटन भक्तपुर छामेल दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्का चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, home brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thanka painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन 5 मिनेट 10 मिनेटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो एउटा मात्रै थियो अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्का चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आउने ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि कुनै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Bodha, Home Bahadur Damang has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामसाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन कलेज छैन हस्पिटल छैन रोजगार छैन त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेशा गरेर दाल भात खाएको अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ दिउँसो काम छैन त्यस कारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेको छ उहाँको स्किल अन्त टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यहीँ तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसको कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा मैले पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेको छ अहिले
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यू लिन्छु त्यसपछि एक हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु अनि एक हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घण्टामा 1 घण्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ म सक्दैन ढाड दुख्यो किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो त्यो सक्दैन उ आउँदैन एक दिन पनि आउँदैन मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो हामीले अपाङ्गलाई पनि सिकाएको छ जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तै हो
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn. Studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thanka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्ध जन्मे नेपाल हो नेपालमा जति छन् विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बद छ यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपरा भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो त उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन तर यसको चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान यहाँ चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिभ यहाँ छ जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यतिकै ठाउँको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले जस्तो मेरै कुरा हो मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति ठाउँको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धिज्ममा थिएन विदेशीहरूले जानेकै थिएन उनीहरूले त्यो सुरसुर आउँदाखेरि सानो एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मान्दै लाइन थियो अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका युरोप तपाईको यो सिङ्गापुर ताइवान मलेसिया विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ त्यसकारणले भविष्यमा यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ छ यसको मार्केट छ
As an artist, entrepreneur, and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others, and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ त्यो त निश्चित हो नि एउटै निश्चित छैन कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ मैले ठुलो पचेरो चढ्यो ठुलो गाडी त्यस्तो होइन तर मलाई खुसी छ सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ यही ठाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो युरोप गयो चाइना घुम्यो बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसा आपत पनि परेन ठाङ्गा सँगसँगै लान्दै ब्रिफिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो त्यसकारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त फेरि
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavana Casey. In this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe, from geopolitical tensions and major political developments to cultural celebrations and remarkable human feats. We have all that you need. Let's begin with the Middle East, where tensions continue to escalate, raising concerns about regional stability and global security. Heightened tensions continue to sweep the Middle East as missile and drone strikes hit countries including Israel, Iran and Gulf states, raising fears of a wider regional conflict. Amid the unrest, all leaders are calling for restraint, while Iran has warned that foreign military involvement could be seen as a participation in aggression. Both Israel and Iran continue to strike at each other, with Israeli airstrikes hitting Tehran as Iranians observed Nowruz, the Persian New Year, while Tehran and allied forces responded with missile and drone attacks across the Gulf region. Civilian casualties have been reported, and emergency services in Tehran and surrounding areas have been stretched as residents cope with both festivities and the violence. The escalation follows weeks of cross-border hostilities, including Iranian attacks on energy infrastructure in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. Kuwait's Mina Al Ahmadi World refinery was damaged after a drone strike, further underscoring the broader regional impact of the conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told reporters that Israel will hold off attacks on Iranian gas fields after being asked to by U.S. President Donald Trump, signaling a temporary pause in the offensive operations.
One, Israel acted alone against the Slawiya gas compound. Fact number two, President Trump asked us to hold off on future attacks, and we're holding out. The death cult in Iran is trying to blackmail the world by closing a key international maritime route, the Straits of Hormuz. It won't work. Israel is helping in its own way, and intel and other means, the American effort to open the Straits of Hormuz, rather.
Meanwhile, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps confirms that General Ali Mohammad Naini, its spokesperson, has been killed in an Israeli-U.S. missile attack. The death comes after a series of high-profile killings targeting senior Iranian military and intelligence officials, including Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Larijani, former head of the Supreme National Security Council, and Saliha Ashadi, a senior intelligence official at the General Staff. Both sides have launched missile barrages, air operations, and drone strikes, raising global energy market concerns and international calls for de-escalation. The ongoing strikes represent one of the most dramatic escalations in the Iran-Israel conflict to date, heightening fears of a broader regional war and disruption to global energy supplies. Global oil prices have jumped as escalating tensions in the Middle East disrupt traffic through the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, creating a major supply squeeze. The International Energy Agency has warned that the conflict is creating supply disruption in the oil market, heightening concerns over the global energy stability. Executive Director of the International Energy Agency, IEA, Fatia Birol, says the volume of oil supply now offline is already higher than the supply loss during the oil shock of 1973 and higher than any of the big disruptions witnessed since then, as oil prices jump further above $100 per barrel and Asian stocks mostly fall. His remarks came as the Iran war moves into a third week, with both sides showing no sign of backing down and diplomats trying to ensure safe passage for tankers through the crucial Strait of Hormuz.
The war in the Middle East is creating the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. The volume of oil supply now offline is already higher than the supply loss during the oil shock of 1973, and higher than any of the big disruptions we have witnessed since then.
It is said the single most important thing for a return to stable flows of oil and gas is the resumption of the transit through the Strait of Hormuz. The IEA members agreed last week to release a record 400 million barrels from stockpiles to cushion the surge in prices caused by the war.
IEA countries are making around 400 million barrels of oil available to the market to offset the supply lost from the effective closure of Strait of Hormuz. This quick action by the IEA had a calming impact on markets. Oil prices today are significantly lower than they were 1 week ago. But while our stock release can provide a buffer for now, it is not a lasting solution.
Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump continues to call on other nations, particularly NATO allies, to help secure the Strait of Hormuz, a key oil shipping route. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi met with U.S. President Donald Trump in Washington as Tokyo signals for support for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, even as Trump's reference to the Pearl Harbor attack stirred surprise during the discussions on Iran and regional security. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi met with U.S. President Donald Trump at the White House to discuss the escalating Iran conflict and security in the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz, a key route for global energy supplies. Days after lashing out at U.S. allies, including Japan, for failing to heed his calls to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz, Trump praised Tokyo's efforts related to the Middle East war in vague terms. The talks also addressed the ongoing tension following Israeli strikes on Iran's South Pars gas field and retaliatory attacks on Gulf energy sites. Both leaders stressed the importance of cooperation and communication to prevent further escalation.
But honestly, Japan, China,
Europe, parts of Europe, get a lot of their oil through the strait. We get none, practically. We're less than 1%. We don't have to be any percent. We don't even, I think we do it just to be nice. But we, think of it, we don't use the strait. We're defending the strait for everybody else. And then in the case of NATO, they don't want to help us defend the strait, and they're the ones that need it. Look, I expect Japan to step up because, we have that kind of relationship. And we step up for Japan. We have 45,000 soldiers in Japan. We spend a lot of money on Japan. So
during the meeting, Takaichi emphasized Japan's commitment to dialogue and regional stability, highlighting the country's efforts to maintain calm relations with China while supporting international cooperation on energy and security.
日本はいつも中国に対してオープンです。会話はオープンにしています。それから冷静に対応しています。で、とにかく米中関係も含めてですね、これが地域の安定、それから世界のサプライチェーン、これに貢献するものであることを願っています。日本は常にオープンです。
The White House described the meeting as a demonstration of U.S.-Japan strategic coordination, balancing Japan's pacifist stance with the need to safeguard regional security and global energy flows. Amid the ongoing Middle East crisis, attacks targeting United Nations peacekeepers in Lebanon have raised concerns over security in volatile areas, underscoring the persistent risk faced by international forces working to maintain peace and stability. UN Chief Antonio Guterres says that attacks against peacekeepers in Lebanon may constitute war crimes. The United Nations chief made the remarks while addressing the safety of international peacekeeping forces operating in the country. He warned that targeting peacekeepers is a serious violation of international law and emphasized the need to ensure their protection.
Attacks against peacekeepers and positions are completely unacceptable and they must stop. They are in breach of international law and may constitute war crimes.
Guterres also called for accountability for any attacks against peacekeeping personnel and stressed the importance of respecting the mandates of UN missions deployed to maintain stability and security in the region. The UN chief also called for intensified diplomatic efforts to prevent further escalation and restore stability in Lebanon. Guterres said that diplomatic avenues are available to stop the war in Lebanon.
Stop the fighting. Stop the bombing. There is no military solution. Only diplomacy, dialogue, and full implementation of the UN Charter and Security Council resolutions. The diplomatic avenues are available.
The UN chief's remarks come amid rising cross-border tensions and ongoing clashes that have raised concerns about a broader conflict in the region. Muslim worshippers gathered and performed Eid al-Fitr prayers at the Grand Mosque in Mecca, marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. The gathering reflects unity and spiritual renewal among millions of Muslims celebrating one of Islam's most important festivals. Under the shadow of the Middle East conflict, thousands of Muslim worshippers gathered at the Grand Mosque in Mecca to perform Eid al-Fitr prayers, marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. The massive congregation, one of the largest of the year, reflected the deep religious devotion of attendees from across Saudi Arabia and around the world. The prayers were accompanied by sermons emphasizing unity, charity, and spiritual renewal, central tenets of Ramadan. Pilgrims and local residents participated in ritualistic prayers, communal gatherings, and celebratory activities, reinforcing social bonds and shared faith. Eid al-Fitr, one of the most important festivals in Islam, is observed with feasting, charity, and family gatherings. In Mecca, the celebrations drew thousands of international visitors, highlighting the city's status as the spiritual heart of Islam and a global center for Muslim worship. The event underscores both the religious significance and the cultural vibrancy of the festival, as millions of Muslims worldwide mark the occasion with devotion, joy, and reflection. A Chinese naval escort fleet has conducted training exercises in regional waters, demonstrating enhanced combat readiness and maritime security capabilities. China's 40th Naval Escort Task Force recently conducted multi-subject training exercises in the Gulf of Aden to strengthen its operational readiness and mission execution capabilities in one of the world's most piracy-prone maritime regions. The drills carried out in waters known for past pirate activity were designed to simulate real combat scenarios and test the fleet's rapid response, coordinated deployment, and precision firepower. The exercise began with the main gun firing order, initiating a series of anti-piracy and escort mission training activities. The training focused on responding to potential maritime threats and improving the fleet's ability to protect commercial shipping routes and conduct long-distance escort missions. The exercise also aimed to strengthen operational coordination among crew members while operating under complex sea and air conditions in the Gulf of Aden. Such conditions provide a realistic environment for naval personnel to refine tactics and improve readiness for real-world maritime security operations. China has maintained a regular naval presence in the Gulf of Aden for escort missions and anti-piracy operations, contributing to international maritime security and the protection of global shipping lanes. The latest drills are intended to further enhance the fleet's ability to carry out long-range missions while supporting stability and safety in international waters. Snow-covered landscapes across Turkey have transformed vast regions into scenic winter vistas, drawing visitors while highlighting the seasonal impact on daily life and travel. Snow-covered landscapes have transformed Eider Plateau into a striking winter scene as snowfall continues across the highland destination in the northeastern Turkey. Located in Rize province, the plateau is known for its traditional wooden houses and scenic mountain environment. Recent snowfall has blanketed the plateau's forest, rooftops, and surrounding landscapes, creating a prominent winter view across the area. Light snowfall and cold weather conditions have continued to affect the plateau in recent days. Intermittent snow has increased snow depth to approximately 60 centimeters in some parts of the highland region. The accumulation of snow has covered the plateau's forest and traditional structures in white, significantly altering the landscape and highlighting the area's natural features during the winter season. Sri Lanka's traditional practice of tapping sweet sap from kithul palm has gained international recognition after UNESCO inscribed it as intangible cultural heritage of humanity, showcasing the nation's rich cultural legacy.
A traditional rural industry in Sri Lanka has gained renewed attention after its recent recognition by UNESCO. But workers say deep-rooted social barriers continue to limit its growth. In village communities across the country, kithul tapping, the process of extracting sap from the kithul palm, remains a centuries-old practice. The sap is boiled into treacle, a caramel-colored syrup widely used to enhance desserts and traditional dishes. When further reduced, the syrup becomes jaggery, a mineral-rich palm sugar considered a healthier alternative to refined white sugar due to its lower glycemic index. The UNESCO inscription has brought global visibility to the craft, which supports thousands of rural livelihoods. However, despite the recognition, the industry continues to face stigma in Sri Lanka's caste-conscious society, where kithul tapping is often viewed as a low-status occupation. It is said the international spotlight could help improve both demand and working conditions, but meaningful change will depend on shifting long-held social attitudes as well as increased investment in rural production networks. Officials have indicated that further support measures may be introduced to promote the sector, positioning kithul products for both domestic consumption and export markets.
Birds of prey are returning to the Chinese city of Beijing as improving environmental conditions and conservation efforts signal a positive shift in the city's ecological health.
Golden eagles and white-tailed eagles have been spotted with unusual frequency around Beijing's outskirts last winter and this spring, drawing crowds of photographers eager to capture rare images of the large raptors. In Fangshan district, dozens of enthusiasts gathered by the roadside to photograph the golden eagles. Species such as the golden eagle and white-tailed sea eagle were traditionally believed to inhabit only the remote deep forest of Greater Khingan Mountains and the Lesser Khingan Mountains in northeast China. Seeing them in Beijing is truly unexpected, said Yang Gensuo, a photographer from Heilongjiang province, northeast China. At the Shiyu Reservoir in Pinggu district, more than a dozen white-tailed eagles became the focus of nearly 100 cameras. Local bird watchers said that white-tailed eagles now arrive at the reservoir each December and stay until mid-March. This season, 18 have been recorded wintering here. The growing number of sightings of birds of prey in Beijing's outskirts should be attributed to improved ecological conditions and reduced human disturbances in recent years, according to the bird experts.
A large number of Hindu devotees packed the streets of a southern Mumbai neighborhood to celebrate the Gudi Padwa festival, which marks New Year in the western Indian state of Maharashtra. The festival heralds the arrival of spring and is celebrated with colorful decorations, street processions, and dancing, along with food and prayers. Thousands of Hindu devotees thronged the streets of southern Mumbai in India to celebrate Gudi Padwa, the traditional New Year festival of Maharashtra, marking the arrival of spring and the start of a fresh year in the regional Hindu calendar. The festival was celebrated with vibrant street processions, music, dancing, and prayers as residents decorated homes with colorful flags, floral motifs, and traditional symbols of prosperity. Devotees visited temples, offered rituals, and participated in communal celebrations, while local markets bustled with people buying festive foods and decorations. Gudi Padwa is not only a religious observance but also a celebration of renewal and community spirit, blending centuries-old customs with contemporary festivities. The event reflects Maharashtra's rich cultural heritage, bringing together families and neighbors to welcome the new year with joy, devotion, and togetherness. The Spanish city of Valencia celebrated the last day of a local festival where massive satirical sculptures known as fallas fill the streets before being burned to mark the beginning of a new season.
The Spanish city of Valencia celebrated the final day of its world-famous Las Fallas festival as massive satirical sculptures known as fallas filled the streets before being set ablaze to mark the beginning of a new season. The festival, which attracts thousands of residents and tourists, is renowned for its blend of artistry, humor, and social commentary, with the sculptures often reflecting political events, cultural trends, and public figures. Streets were packed with spectators enjoying parades, fireworks, and traditional music, while local authorities ensured safety during the controlled burning of the towering creations. The festival dates back several centuries, is a both celebration of creativity and a ritual of renewal, drawing international attention and showcasing Valencia's rich cultural heritage. For many, the event is a symbolic farewell to winter and a festive welcome to spring, highlighting the city's unique traditions and communal spirit.
The Oscars 2026 were dominated by one battle after another, which won Best Picture and led the night with multiple awards, while Sinners followed closely with major wins, including Best Actor for Michael B. Jordan. One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, was the biggest winner at this year's Academy Awards, taking home 6 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, and Best Original Score. In acting category, Jess E. Buckley won Best Actress for her performance in Hamnet, becoming the first Irish winner in the category. Michael B. Jordan took Best Actor for Sinners. Sean Penn and Amy Madigan won Supporting Acting honors. Another historic moment came when cinematographer Autumn Durrell won Best Cinematography for Sinners, becoming the first woman to receive the award. Other notable winners included movies such as Frankenstein, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Avatar: Fire and Ash, which were recognized across technical and creative categories. The ceremony highlighted several milestones, underscoring the growing recognition of diverse talent across the movie industry. Well, this coverage on Oscar night's biggest wins and highlights brings us to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We shall see you again next week with a new episode. Also, do follow us on our website www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाहिँ 1979 मा नेपालको तर्फबाट विश्व सम्पदाको रूपमा चाहिँ सूचीकृत भएको थियो र त्यसमा चाहिँ अपरेसनल गाइडलाइन अब भनौँ न नेपालले 1972 को चाहिँ वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज कन्भेन्सन भन्ने जुन कन्भेन्सन थियो त्यो कन्भेन्सनमा चाहिँ साइन गरिसकेपछि 78 मा साइन गर्यो र 76 मा साइन गरेर 78 मा चाहिँ नेपालले पठाएको थियो र त्यतिखेर पठाउँदाखेरि नेपालले यो सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाको तर्फबाट काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल र प्राकृतिकको तर्फबाट चाहिँ सगरमाथा राष्ट्रिय निकुञ्जलाई चाहिँ यो सूचीमा सूचीकरण गर्नको लागि पठाएको थियो। त्यो मध्ये चाहिँ अपरेसनल गाइडलाइनको अनुसार क्राइटेरिया 3, 4 र 6 जुन चाहिँ एकदमै असाध्यै विश्वव्यापी महत्त्व भएको भनेर जुन आउटस्ट्यान्डिङ युनिभर्सल भ्याल्यू भनेर भन्छौँ हामीले यो 3वटा क्राइटेरियाको आधारमा नेपाल सरकारले तत्कालीन अवस्थामा चाङ्गु नारायण सहित बाँकी 6वटा सम्मिलित भएको समावेश भएको चाहिँ काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल भनेर चाहिँ सूचीकरणको लागि प्रस्ताव गरेको थियो 78 मा र 79 को सेसनले चाहिँ वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज कमिटीको सेसन भनेको बैठक ले चाहिँ यसलाई सूचीकृत गर्ने चाहिँ निर्णय गरेको थियो। त्यसैले यो एज ए होल 7वटा 7 in 1 वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज प्रपर्टी भनेर भन्छौँ हामी। यो काठमाडौँ उपत्यका विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाहिँ त्यसरी चाहिँ विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा चाहिँ सूचीकरण भएको थियो।
चाङ्गु भनेको चाहिँ एउटा हामीसँग एकदम पुरानो प्राचीन स्थल पनि हो त्यहाँ हैन। त्यहाँ चाहिँ धेरैवटा अभिलेखहरू छ। जम्मी त्यहाँको अभिलेखहरू सम्पूर्ण चाङ्गुसँग सम्बन्धित अभिलेखहरू, चाङ्गुमा भएका अभिलेखहरू, भण्डारभित्र भएका सबै अभिलेख हेर्ने हो भने करिब हामीसँग 360वटा अभिलेखहरू छ चाङ्गु एरियामा मात्रै, त्योसँग रिलेटेड अभिलेखहरू हैन। र त्यसमध्ये अहिलेसम्म प्राप्त सबभन्दा पुरानो अभिलेख भनेको मानदेवको 386 को अभिलेख हो हैन। त्यो भनेको राजा मानदेवले आफ्नो विजयपछि जब सामन्तहरू सबैलाई कब्जा गरिसकेपछि राखेको अभिलेख हो। यो अभिलेख चाहिँ एउटा स्तम्भमा छ त्यहाँ र त्यो अभिलेखमा चाहिँ लिच्छवी लिपिमा लेखिएको छ र संस्कृत भाषामा लेखिएको छ। एकदम प्रौढ संस्कृत भाषामा लेखिएको छ, राम्रो एकदम शुद्ध भाषामा लेखिएको छ। र त्यसमा चाहिँ उसले राजा मानदेवले जब पूर्व र पश्चिमको सामन्तहरूलाई दबाइसकेपछि उसले विजय स्तम्भको रूपमा त्यसलाई स्थापना गरेको हो। र यो अभिलेखलाई चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म हामीसँग धेरै विवरण, हामीसँग हुन त लिच्छवी कालका त्योभन्दा पुराना अभिलेखहरू पनि छन् हैन। र जस्तै दोस्रो शताब्दीको जय वर्माको सम्मत 160 को अभिलेख छ हामीसँग। अनि त्यसपछि 381 को अभिलेखहरू पनि छन्। तर त्यसमा चाहिँ विवरण एकदम छोटोमा छ। तर यो अभिलेख भनेको सम्पूर्ण विवरण लिच्छवी वंशको, जस्तै मानदेवले आफ्नो वंश समेत 3 पुस्ता समेत उल्लेख गरेर लेखेको र आफ्नो आमाको समेत नाम उल्लेख गरेर राखेको अभिलेख भएकोले त्यो बेलाको सिनारीहरू, त्यो बेलाको इतिहास, धर्म, संस्कृतिहरू धेरै भएको अभिलेखमा भएको हुनाले यो अभिलेख चाहिँ विशेष महत्त्वपूर्ण छ। नेपालकै सन्दर्भमा पनि यो अभिलेख चाहिँ विशेष महत्त्वपूर्ण छ।
चाङ्गु नारायण क्षेत्रमा भएका मन्दिर या मन्दिर वरिपरिका अन्य स्मारक र पुरातात्विक वस्तुहरूको हामीले संरक्षण सम्वर्धनलाई हाई प्रायोरिटी दिएर चाहिँ काम अगाडि बढाएका छौँ। हाम्रो भक्तपुरमा स्मारक संरक्षण तथा दरबार हेरचाह कार्यालय अफिस छ, युनिट अफिस छ। त्यो युनिट अफिसको कामै के हो भने भक्तपुर वा विश्व सम्पदा स्थल चाङ्गु नारायण समेतको हाम्रो जुन कार्यक्षेत्र छ, हाम्रो मापदण्ड छ, त्यो मापदण्ड कार्यक्षेत्र अनुसार सञ्चालन, व्यवस्थापन, संरक्षण गर्नु नै यसको मुख्य कार्य हो। र त्यो अफिस, युनिट अफिसबाट ती कार्यहरू त्यहाँ भइरहेको छ। त्यही कारणले नै हामीलाई युनेस्कोले भूकम्प पछिको पुनर्निर्माण या भूकम्प पछिको स्ट्याटस क्लियर गर्ने सन्दर्भमा त्यो अफिस र स्वयं पुरातत्व विभागले त्यसको संरक्षण कार्य अगाडि बढाएको अवस्था छ।
मानदेवले राखेको गरुड स्तम्भ पछि गएर कालान्तरमा विभिन्न कारणले त्यो भाँच्यो। भाँचेपछि त्यो स्तम्भमाथि रहेको गरुड चाहिँ नि भुइँमा झर्यो। जुन तपाईँले गरुड देख्नुहुन्छ चाँगु नारायणको ठ्याक्कै मन्दिर अगाडि हात जोडेर बसेको मानव आकार छ अनि पछाडि प्वाख बनाइया छ हैन। त्यसले पखेटाहरूले त्यो गरुड चाहिँ नि सम्भवतया मानदेवले नै चढाएको भन्ने मानिन्छ। त्यो कलामा डेफिनेटली हामीले के मथुरा शैलीको देख्छौँ। त्यो गरुडको जुङ्गा पनि बनाएको देख्नुहुन्छ। माथि एउटा सानो डोरीले बाँधेर क्लिपहरू लगाएको एउटा मुकुटको जस्तै किसिमका त्यो देखिन्छ। सम्भवतया त्यो मानदेवकै प्रतिमूर्तिको रूपमा त्यही उसको पर्सनालिटी अनुसार उसको जीवडाल अनुसार गरुड बनाइएको हो भन्ने एक थरीको भनाइ छ।
रौरोगन त वार्षिक योजना होइन, यो 61 वर्षपछि भएको यो भगवान् नारायणले नै पुजारी नियुक्ति गरेको हुनाले त्यो वंश परम्परागत अहिलेसम्म हामी चाहिँ यहाँ पुजारी बनिएका छौँ र त्यही वंशमा मात्रै पूजा गर्नुपर्ने भएको हुनाले यहाँका पुजारीले आफ्नो बुवा आमा बित्नु भए पनि जुठो बार्न पाइन्न। यहाँ अविच्छिन्न रूपमा चाहिँ पूजा चलाउनुपर्छ। त्यो चलन अहिलेसम्म चलिआएको छ। मन्दिर 4:30-5 बजे खोलिसकेका हुन्छ। पढेलहरूले नित्य पूजाको लागि यहाँ छुट्टै एउटा धारा छ, जसको नारायण हिटी भन्छौँ हामी। त्यहाँबाट चोख पानी ल्याएर त्यो चोख पानी ल्याएर पनि एउटा कठिन छ। चोख पानी ल्याएर कोही बिसाएर फाप्न नहुने होइन, अनि कसैले छुनु नहुने, नाङ्गो खुट्टा यहाँसम्म हिँडेर आउनुपर्ने। अनि यहाँ ल्याएर मन्दिर खोलिसकेपछि अनि चोख पानी भित्राएर त्यहाँ पूजा सामान तयार भइसकेपछि करिब 8-9 बजेतिर प्रायः भगवान्को पूजा हुन्छ। पूजा षोडशोपचारले हुन्छ। अनि त्यो पूजा पश्चात चाहिँ हामीले खिर नैवेद्य पनि चलाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। पहिला मन्दिर बन्द हुन्थ्यो, अब त बन्द हुन छोड्यो। अहिले त प्रायः दिनभरि नै खोल्छ र साँझ चाहिँ नित्य आरती पनि हुन्छ र यो पूजा आरती गर्दा बाजा बजाउने चलन पनि छ।
लिच्छवीकालीन मूर्तिकलाको विशेषता चाहिँ नि के छ भने मास कलरको हुन्छ, मास रङको ब्ल्याक बेसल्ट भन्छ। त्यो ढुङ्गाको क्वालिटी सारो ढुङ्गाबाट बनाएको हुन्छ र त्यसमा मास रङको चाहिँ नि लेपन गरेको देखिन्छ। त्यसपछि मूर्ति बनाइन्थ्यो किनभने मूर्तिको त्यो खुट्टाको हातको कापा भित्र पनि त्यो पलिसिङ गरेको देखिन्छ। त्यो सम्भवतः पहिला ढुङ्गामा नगरिकन त्यसरी त भित्रभित्र गर्न त गाह्रो हुन्छ पलिसिङ गर्न। त्यसकारण उनीहरूले घोटेर ढुङ्गालाई चाहिँ नि पहिला बनाएपछि अनि त्यसपछि त्यो ढुङ्गालाई घोटेर तयार पारेपछि अनि उनीहरूले मूर्ति कुद्या हुनुपर्छ। स्ट्रङ्गेस्ट टेक्नोलोजी उनीहरूले युज गरेको देखिन्छ।
अंशु वर्माको अभिलेख छ, जुन चाहिँ गरुड अहिलेको तपाईँले त्यहाँ चाङ्गुमा जानुभयो भने ठ्याक्क त्यसको गरुडको पछाडि एउटा अंशु वर्मा र शिवदेवको अभिलेख पनि छ। त्यो अभिलेख पनि लिच्छवीकालको सामाजिक व्यवस्था अर्थव्यवस्थाहरू बुझ्नको लागि चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण अभिलेख हो। र अर्को महत्त्वपूर्ण अभिलेख भनेको गरुडको पाठपीठमा जुन हाम्रो लिच्छवीकालको चाङ्गु नारायणको पाठपीठमा रहेको जुन अभिलेख छ नि त्यसमा चाहिँ त्यो चाङ्गु नारायणको जुन मूर्ति स्थापना गरेको त्यसको जीर्णोद्धार गरेको सम्बन्धी चाहिँ त्यो अभिलेखमा चाहिँ उल्लेख छ। अभिलेखहरू अध्ययन गर्ने, तिनीहरूको विश्लेषण गर्ने, तिनीहरूको लिप्यान्तर गर्ने, प्रतिलिपि उतार गर्ने, तिनीहरूको सङ्कलन गर्ने कामहरू अभिलेखालयले गर्छ र जस अनुसार हामीले त्यहाँको अभिलेखहरू लिप्यान्तर गरेर अथवा उतार गरेर ल्याएर तिनीहरूको प्रतिलिपि चाहिँ यहाँ सुरक्षित गरिसकेको छ। पुरै लिप्यान्तर गरेर भाषान्तर गरेर पब्लिस पनि भइसकेको छ त्यो जुन चाङ्गुको अभिलेख छ।
रामको वर्ण हैन अनि यो जस्तै अब नारायणको वर्ण के हो यहाँ बाजेहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूसँग बसेर सल्लाह गरेर अनि वर्ण अनुसारको हामीले चाहिँ यो कलर गर्ने हो। अब जस्तै कि यो चाहिँ श्रीराम उहाँको चाहिँ यो अलि निलो आकाशी वर्णको हुन्छ। अब माथि भयो नरसिंह सेतो वर्णको, यतापट्टि चाहिँ वामन वर्ण भयो, वामन चाहिँ हाम्रो स्किन कलर अरेन्ज कलरको, यो सबै त्यहाँ चाहिँ वर्णहरू हुन्छ अनि त्यही अनुसारले हामीले गर्ने हो। कुन्नाको चाहिँ हरियो कलरको कोहरा। अब कोहराको सिम किन राखेको भन्दा कोहरा चाहिँ यो उड्ने कोहरा, नेवार भाषाबाट बोसल भन्छ, बलियो पनि। उसले यो मन्दिरको पुरा यो छत हुन्छ नि उसको भारै उसले बोकेको छ कुन्ना कुमार 4 कुन्नाले। त्यही भएर उसको त्यो अनुहारको आकृति पनि अलि रिसाएको जस्तो अलि उसलाई गाह्रो भएको जस्तो फिल गरेर नै बनाएको छ, राम्रो नै बनाएको छ। सबभन्दा पहिला चाङ्गो नारायण पछि शेष नारायण पछि विसुङ्गो नारायण पछि तपाईँको इचङ्गो नारायण राखेको छ लाइनै। अनि बिचमा चाहिँ तपाईँको यमराजको चाहिँ तुराल राखेको छ यहाँ ठ्याक्कै दक्षिणतिर फर्काएर। यो यमराजको चाहिँ हटबाट अरू मन्दिरमा चाहिँ पाइँदैन, यहाँ चाहिँ राखिएको छ। अनि पछि पश्चिममा चाहिँ तपाईँको वरुणको राखेको छ। वरुण भनेपछि नागको राजा। मत्स्य नारायण, वराह, नरसिंह लाइनै मिलाएर राखिएको छ। अनि तपाईँ फेरि दक्षिणबाट अब तपाईँ उत्तर दिशा जानुभयो भने वामनको तपाईँले तुनार हेर्नुहोस् है, 3वटा खुट्टा हालेको छ। जुन चित्र छ यो कलाकारले बनाएको काठको त्यो कहीँ पनि पाउँदैन, यही चाङ्गो नारायणमा पाउँछ। कृष्णको छ, रामको परशुरामको लाइनै मूर्तिहरू राखेको छ। पूर्व दिशामा जानुभयो भने भगवान बुद्धको मूर्ति त्यो स्वरूपमा त्यो चित्रमा जुन राखेको छ ठ्याक्कै अनुहार चाहिँ नारायण विष्णुकै राखेको छ। स्तुपा समातिरहेको छ, तपाईँले त्यहाँ हेर्नुहुन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ हाम्रो के भन्छ नारायणजी चाहिँ हाम्रो यो बुद्ध भगवानको स्वरूपमा राखेको छ।
हाम्रो चाङ्गो नारायण भने विष्णु धर्म अथवा वैष्णव धर्मको मुख्य थलो हो भनेपछि त्यसलाई चाहिँ फेरि बुद्धिस्टहरूले चाहिँ तपाईँको भने लोकेश्वरको रूपमा पूजा गर्छन् त्यहाँ हैन। भनेपछि बुद्धिस्ट र हिन्दूको एउटा चाहिँ संयोजन, धार्मिक संयोजनको साथसाथै त्यहाँबाट आउने त्यो कलशलाई वा चाहिँ नारायणको प्रतीकात्मक स्वरूपलाई हनुमान ढोका ल्याउने र चाहिँ कुमारीले समेत दर्शन गर्ने र कुमारीको दर्शन जो त्यहाँ आफ्नै किसिमको विधि परम्परा छ र त्यो कलशको दर्शन गर्नलाई त्यहाँका अरू अब के अरे धर्मावलम्बीहरू जो चाहिँ त्यो धर्ममा आस्था राख्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरू आएर चाहिँ धर्म दर्शनका कुराहरू अथवा त्यो कलशको दर्शन गर्ने परम्परा अहिले पनि छ। यसले चाहिँ एकातिर भक्तपुर र कान्तिपुरको एउटा राम्रो सम्बन्धको स्थापना गर्छ भनेपछि पछि तपाईँको पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले काठमाडौँ अट्याक गरेर नयाँ राज्य अथवा नेपाल राज्य स्थापना गर्ने सन्दर्भमा पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले यहाँ आएका चलन मैले अघि भनेको थिएँ प्रथा धर्मलाई पनि उनले चाहिँ हस्तक्षेप गरेनन्, सबैलाई स्वीकारे र एज ए स्टेट हेड रूपमा उनको वासस्थान त्यहाँ भएको नाताले चाहे मल्ल राजाहरूले पनि त्यहीँबाट सुरु गरे। त्यसपछि पृथ्वीनारायण शाहले पनि त्यही त्यो कामलाई कन्टिन्यू दिएको अवस्था पाइन्छ।
यहाँको मुख्य यात्रा भनेको वैशाखमा हुन्छ र त्यो यात्रा यहाँको लागि होइन कि यो चाहिँ पारी काठमाडौँ जिल्लाका दाछी, ब्रह्मखेल, थली, इन्द्रायणी, भद्रवास आदि ठाउँ पनि यो यात्रा चल्छ। हामी यहाँबाट कलश बोकेर खाली पेट हिँडेर हामी जमल पुग्छौँ, काठमाडौँ जमल पुग्छौँ। अनि जमलसम्म चाहिँ यहाँको बाजा जान्छन्। अनि जमल पुगेपछि यहाँको बाजा फर्किन्छ। त्यहाँ गुरुजीको पल्टनले हामीलाई स्वागत गर्छ। त्यहाँबाट सामान्य पूजा भएपछि हामी चाहिँ गुरुजीको पल्टन सँगसँगै हामी चाहिँ हनुमानढोका पुग्छौँ। अनि त्यहाँ जीवित देवी कुमारीको आगमन हुन्छ अनि उहाँको उपस्थितिमा हामीले लसकुश स्वागत गरेर दरबारभित्र भित्राइन्छ र त्यहाँको पूजा पश्चात चाहिँ अनि राष्ट्र प्रमुखका हामी दर्शन गर्नु पहिला राजाका जान्थ्यौँ अहिले राष्ट्रपतिका जान्छौँ।
कला वस्तु प्रविधिसँग गाँसिएको हाम्रो इन्टेन्जिबल पाटो अभौतिक पाटो त्यसको पूजा व्यवस्था धर्म आस्था जात्रा जो अविच्छिन्न रूपले चलिआएका छन् त्यसको मूल्य मान्यता अहिले पनि त्यहाँका जनता या समग्र ती धर्मावलम्बीहरूसित अविच्छिन्नता रूपले चलिआएको छ र त्यो इन्टिग्रिटी त्यो अथेन्टिसिटी त्यो चाहिँ त्यसको समग्रमा त्यसको आउटस्ट्यान्डिङ युनिभर्सल भ्यालीलाई हामीले कायम गर्न सके हुनाले युनेस्कोले त्यसलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राखेको। विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा राख्नुको तात्पर्य पनि त्यो हो कि ती विषय वस्तु चाहिँ राष्ट्रिय मात्र नभएर अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय महत्त्वका विषयवस्तु बनुन्।
चाङ्गो नारायणमा एउटा विष्णु विश्वरूपको मूर्ति छ। त्यो मूर्तिको तल पाताल लोक देखाइएको छ, नागकन्याहरू छन्। त्यसपछि पृथ्वीले दुईटा काँधमा स्त्री रूपमा पृथ्वीलाई प्रतिनिधित्व गरेका छ। काँधमा दुईटा पाइताला राखेर भगवान् विष्णु उभ्या छन्। त्योभन्दा माथि विभिन्न दिक्पालहरू, अन्य सूर्य चन्द्र, अझ माथि गएपछि आकाश, यिनीहरू सबैको प्रतिनिधित्व हुने गरी देवगणहरू ऋषिगणहरू पनि देखिन्छ र अर्जुनले चाहिँ हात जोडेर बसेको दृश्य पनि त्यसमा कुँदिएको छ। त्यो मूर्ति साउथ इस्ट एसियामै मलाई जहाँसम्म लाग्छ दुर्लभ मूर्ति हो। देब्रेतिरको चाहिँ नि केही पार्टहरू भाँच्चिएको छ, होइन भने मूर्ति धेरै नै राम्रो छ। त्यो पछि कसरी भाँच्यो भन्ने थाहा हुन सकेको छैन। मुखबाट त्यहाँ मूर्तिमा हेर्नुभयो भने एउटा मान्छे निस्किया देख्नुहुन्छ, त्यो द्याट इज कल्ड ब्राह्मण। अनि बाहुबाट पाखुराबाट चाहिँ नि क्षेत्रीय निस्केको देख्नुहुन्छ। तिघ्राबाट चाहिँ नि त्यसै गरी मान्छे सानो सानो मान्छेको मूर्ति बनाएको छ, त्यो निस्किया देख्नुहुन्छ, जो वैश्य हो। वैश्यपछि पाइतालामा चाहिँ नि खुट्टामा हेर्नुभयो भने त्यहाँ शूद्र निस्केको भनिन्छ। त्यसरी एउटा समाजको स्वरूपलाई पनि उसले चित्रण गरेका छ। उनी सुतेका छन्। विश्वरूपको त्यो मूर्ति निकै नै उत्कृष्ट मानिन्छ र अब त्यसलाई कसैले 7औं शताब्दी भनिन्छन्, कसैले 8औं, मूर्तिमा लेखिया छैन, तर 8औं शताब्दीतिरको हुनसक्छ भन्ने अनुमान चाहिँ नै हामीले गरेका छौँ। विश्वरूपकै अगाडिपट्टि त्रिविक्रम वामनको मूर्ति पाउनुहुन्छ। त्यो त्रिविक्रम वामन भनेको खुट्टा उचालेर एउटा आकाशतिर फर्काएको, एउटा चाहिँ नि पातालतिर फर्काएको मूर्ति पाउनुहुन्छ, जसमा हामीले अनुमान गर्दाखेरि लगभग हाराहारी 7औं 8औं शताब्दीकै 8औं शताब्दीतिरकै हुनुपर्छ भन्ने एउटा अनुमान चाहिँ गर्छौँ। 8औं शताब्दीतिरकै नरसिंहको मूर्ति पनि त्यहाँ राखेको छ। त्यो पनि सेम ब्ल्याक बासल्टको हो, तर त्यहाँ चाहिँ नि पलिसिङ पनि तपाईँको मास कलरको पलिस गरेर देख्नुहुन्छ। त्यस कारण यो तीनवटा मूर्ति विशेष उल्लेखनीय छन् भने चौथो अर्को मूर्ति पनि त्यहाँ उल्लेखनीय छ, जसलाई गरुड नारायण भनिन्छ। अब भनाइ के छ भने अब भित्र मूर्ति त हेर्न दिन्नन् हैन, तर त्यहाँभित्र पनि गरुडमा चढेको नारायणकै मूर्ति हो, गरुड नारायण नै हो। त्यस्तै किसिमको गरुडमा विष्णु चढेको एउटा मूर्ति छ, जो हाम्रो 10 रुपियाँको नोटमा पनि तपाईँले छापेको देख्नुहुन्छ। त्यसमा के देखाइएको छ भने विष्णुले अनि वाहनमा चढेर उडिरहेको अवस्थामा देखाउने यो प्रचलन धेरै पहिलादेखि नै छ र यिनीहरू यो मूर्ति पनि त्यही पलिसिङको छ। अनि शास्त्रमा जस्तो शरीर बयान गरेको छ त्यस्तै, अनि हात खुट्टाहरू जस्तै अङ्ग मिलेको भन्छौँ क्या हामी। त्यो जति लामो हात हुनुपर्ने हो त्यति लामो हात छ, जति लामो खुट्टा हुनुपर्ने त्यस्तो मान्छेको खुट्टा कत्रो हुन्छ। उसले त नाइटोदेखि नै नापेर मूर्तिहरू बनाउने, माथिल्लो भाग तल्लो भाग कति छ त्यो अनुसारको समायोजन गरेका छ। त्यसैले लिच्छवीकालीन मूर्तिहरूमा यो विशेषता चाहिँ नि उत्कृष्ट किसिमको छ।
ट्रेडिसनल जुन हामी परम्परागत रूपमा चाहिँ असाध्यै धनी भनेर जुन भन्छौँ, अमूर्त सम्पदा, अभौतिक सम्पदा, त्यो भौतिक र अभौतिक सम्पदा बिचको चाहिँ जुन एउटा लिभिङ नेचर छ, लिभिङनेस भनेर जुन हामी चाहिँ यो जीवन्त सम्पदा भन्छौँ, त्यो जीवन्त सम्पदा मध्यकालदेखि अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ कन्टिन्यू छ भनेर चाहिँ, र त्यो भएकोले गर्दाखेरि संसारमा यस्तो चिज कहीँ पनि छैन, यहाँ मात्रै छ। त्यसैले यसलाई चाहिँ संसारभरिकै मान्छेको चाहिँ सम्पत्ति हो, सम्पदा हो भनेर हामीले चाहिँ दर्ता गऱ्यौँ। भनेपछि सूचीकरण गऱ्यौँ भनेपछि त्यही रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले बचाइराख्नु चाहिँ
सबभन्दा ठुलो चाहिँ दायित्व हो।
चाङ्गु नारायणको मन्दिर चाहिँ मानदेवको पालामा त्यो अभिलेख एकदम स्थापना भइसकेको, योभन्दा धेरै अगाडि स्थापना भइसकेको र लोकप्रिय र अब विशेष महत्त्व भएको मन्दिर भनेर हामी बुझ्छौँ। किनभने राजा आफैले विजय स्तम्भ राख्ने विशेष महत्त्वको साथ चाहिँ राजा मानदेवले त्यो ठाउँमा अभिलेख राख्नु भनेको त्यो ठाउँमा पहिलेदेखि नै भव्य मन्दिर थियो, त्यहाँ मन्दिर थियो र यो विशेष राजकीय महत्त्वको स्थान थियो, त्यो मन्दिर थियो भनेर बुझिन्छ। त्यो हेर्दा पनि त्यो मन्दिर राजा मानदेवभन्दा धेरै अगाडि बनिसकेको भन्ने बुझिन्छ। वास्तवमा त्यो स्तम्भ अहिलेको ठाउँ चाहिँ ओरिजिनल होइन, यतापट्टि तपाईँले मन्दिरको अगाडि हेऱ्यो भने सानो खण्डित अभिलेख छ, त्यहाँ भएको हुनुपर्छ त्यो अभिलेख। तर विभिन्न अब चट्याङ अथवा विशेष कारणले त्यो ढल्यो र त्यो अभिलेख भाँच्यो। तर त्यति भाँचिसकेपछि पनि त्यो ढुङ्गाको अभिलेख त सुरक्षित भयो, धेरै पार्ट त सुरक्षित छ अहिले। त्यो सुरक्षित भएको कारणले त्यो अभिलेख इट्सेल्फ सुरक्षित अहिलेको अवस्थामा छ र मान्छेले अभिलेख त्यहाँको स्थानीय लोकलले पनि त्यो अभिलेखको महत्त्व बुझेकोले त्यसलाई चाहिँ क्षति हुने सम्भावना कम छ। त्यस्ता अभिलेखहरू चाहिँ हामीले यदि सुरक्षा गर्न सक्यौँ भने हाम्रो इतिहास चाहिँ कालान्तरसम्म जोग्न सक्छ। हामीले थाहा पायौँ, हाम्रा पछिका पुस्तालाई पनि त्यो हामी बचाइदिनुपर्छ।
चाङ्गु नारायण चाहिँ नि वान अफ द बेस्ट हाम्रो चाहिँ नेपालको चाहिँ नि आर्ट, आर्किटेक्चर, हिस्ट्रीको लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट साइट हो र कल्चरको लागि।
स्वागत छ लुक्लामा तपाईहरुलाई। राम्रोसँग आउनुभयो, के प्लेनमा डरहरु लाग्नु भएन? प्लेन भित्तैमा ठोकेला जस्तो हुन्छ यहाँ त।
At an altitude of 2,860 meters, Lukla is the starting point of arguably one of the best trekking routes in the world, up to the Mount Everest base camp, finishing above 5,400 meters. Ram is one of hundreds of seasonal porters in the route.
अब यो त मान्छेलाई पनि यस्तै हो सजिलो त सर यो किनभने हिलो हुँदैन बेस क्याम्प जाँदा अब क्याम्पको 1000 रुपियाँ हुन्छ डबल बारी बोकेर 2-3 क्याम्प जति हिँडिन्छ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ 5000 जति बस्छ
The route is popular, in fact crowded. This is only for the 2 months of April and May, and so is the profession of Ram a seasonal affair.
अब कुनै खेर पाइन्छ कुनै खेर पाइँदैन मान्छे यतिकै हुन्छ र अब कुनै खेर त अब 4-5 दिन यतिकै बसेकै बजारतिर आयो घुम्यो यतिकै फेरि कोठामा फर्केर आयो अब बाँकी खाना खाँदै बस्यो त्यस्तै हो सर विदेश जाउँ त अब लाग्छ जानुलाई पनि फेरि अलिक गाह्रै छ पैसा चाहिन्छ अब पैसा छैन त्यो पेसामा पढाइ चाहिँ पुरुषहरू नै हुन्छ महिलाहरू पनि आधी उधी हुन्छ बिहानदेखि कहिले अब घाम लागिरहेको हुन्छ एकछिनमा यस्तो बादल आइहाल्छ डुममा भइहाल्छ यहाँको मौसम यस्तै हो सर पढेको भए त बाँकी अब सानोतिनो जबहरू हुन्थ्यो कि
Trekkers pass through nearly 6-7 small hamlets along the Lukla Namche section of the route.
यहाँ सबै घरमा बिजुली पानीको राम्रो व्यवस्था छ सर
The locals do not have infrastructures or might have resected roads, but they have embraced development.
नाम्चे लुक्ला सबै बाटोभरि नै फोहोर राख्ने बाटो राखिदिनु भएको छ
The topography is inhospitable, but the people are friendly.
यहाँ हरेक गाउँको आफ्नो आफ्नै हाइड्रो बिजुली निकाल्ने पावर छ
Solar panels give much needed warm water to survive the cold. No wonder everything comes at a cost here, charging a cell phone or getting a Wi-Fi connection.
साह्रै दुःख पाइयो मम्मी सानैमा बित्यो अनि पढ्नै पाएन यस्तो दुःख गर्नु परेछ अब छोराछोरीलाई चाहिँ यस्तो दुःख गरेर भए पनि पढाउँछु अङ्ग्रेजी बोल्ने भए त अब कति अब खैराहरू भेट्छन् हिजो पनि 4 जना भेटेको थियो फाल्टो ग्रुप अब अङ्ग्रेजी बोल्न जानिदैन त्यही भएर पठाइदियो ल अब यहाँ चाहिँ खाना खाने ठाउँ हो यहाँ खाना खानु पर्यो
हजुर सबभन्दा धेरै थुक्पा नै हो किनभने अरू खाजा पनि जान्छ नि त जानु त बनायो भने जान्छ तर त्यो सकिहालेन भने फेरि त्यो बिग्रिन्छ अमिलो
Food is no more cooked in firewood like in the past, despite LP gas cylinders arriving either on humans' back or the beast of burdens. Our first day trek concludes at Phagding, a small hamlet at an altitude of 2610 meters. Almost all trekkers lodge here on the first day to acclimatize themselves for higher elevations. The place has amenities for travelers at par with an urban town, except roads and infrastructures.
यहाँ यो फलामको चिम्नी नभएको त गरै हुँदैन सर यहाँ त फलामको चिम्नी भएन भने त जाडोले मर्यो
As the dawn breaks, Ram emerges from his overnight elopement for lodging.
अब जाने होला सर उकालो यो अलिक सपना बिग्रियो अनि त्यति राम्रो सुकेन सपनामा त खै कस्तो अचम्मक सपना देखियो सपनामा चाहिँ बुढी चाहिँ अर्कैसँग गएको देखेको खै केही कुरामा चाहिँ डिस्केस भएको जस्तो भयो अनि त्यहाँबाट चाहिँ कपडा सपडा प्याक गरेर हिँडेको सपना देख्यो के गर्न सकिएन खै कहिले के गर्ने हो मान्छे बुढी राम्रो छ सपना चाहिँ त्यस्तो देखेँ कस्तो अचम्म लाग्यो बुढी फेरि मभन्दा ठुलो छ कि मभन्दा त राम्रै पनि छ ठुलो पनि छ त्यस्तो सपना देख्दा चाहिँ कुनै केर चाहिँ अब डर पनि लाग्छ के बा पछि अब छोडेर हिँडिने हो कि अब आफूसँग केही नभएपछि त हैन बा अब हिँडिने हो कि जस्तो पनि लाग्छ यो सागो हो यो सागो चाहिँ काठको बनाएको यो बर्खामा ठुलो पानी आउँछ ठुलो खोला आउँदाखेरि त बगाएर लगिहाल्छ फेरि बनाउँछ यो चाहिँ पारी घाँस दाउराको लागि बनाउँछ
The Kumbh region has more than a dozen suspension and concrete bridges to safely cross the Dudh Kosi, meaning Milk White Kosi and its tributaries. As we continue our steep climb towards Namche Bazaar, we pass through freshly felled pine trees.
यो चाहिँ घरको लागि काठ काटेको हो यो घरको काठ काट्दाखेरि चाहिँ यो निस्केको दाउरा हो सर यो दाउरा अब सधैँभरि फुल्दैन कुनै बेला फुल्दाखेरि चाहिँ काट्ने
Only permitted numbers are cut every year, while the locals do not forget to grow pine saplings in their backyard to replace the cut ones. This is the entry point of Sagarmatha National Park, a buffer zone guarded by Nepal Army. The small hamlet of around 200 houses is no less than a modern town as we venture around the next morning with Ram. We not only discover Ram's free-of-cost night laws, but also a secret tavern where porters gather to gamble.
टुरिस्ट आएन भने त अब यहाँ त अब गाह्रो छ नि सर अब आलु मात्रै फलाएर अब के खानु यहाँ त्यो पनि अब आलु धेर फल्दैन कम फल्छ टुरिस्ट आएन भने त धेरै गाह्रो छ सर अब छनु त छ कि अझ यो भन्दा राम्रो यो भन्दा नि अब राम्रो अब घरहरू बनाओस् राम्रो सरसफाइ होस् अब राम्रो सुविधा होस् न त्यहाँदेखि चाहिँ आउँछ यहाँ त अब त्यस्तो मोटरहरू आयो भने त फेरि हामीलाई गाह्रो भइहाल्छ नि सर अब हामी फेरि अब हामी पोटरहरू फेरि त्यतिकै हुन्छ बेरोजगार हुन्छ अब हाम्रो त अब खै जिन्दगी त अब यस्तोले त अब गाह्रै हो तर अब के गर्नु त सर अब खासै अब केही अब गर्ने बाटै छैन हाम्रो अब यही नै हो हाम्रो
A phone call from Lukla upsets us more than Ram as he misses a much better opportunity to accompany trekkers to the base camp. The weather remains unfavorable as we fail to catch a glimpse of the Mount Everest. With a bit of dejection for not being able to see the roof of the world, we start our journey back to Lukla. On the way, Ram gives us a good news. He got another lucrative trip.
अब चाहिँ अलिक चाँडो जानु पर्ला हो सर अब अझै म फेरि फर्केर नाम्ची पुग्नु पर्ने छ
Back at Lukla, Ram prepares himself for the 14-day trip to the base camp with high hopes for making decent earning. It's time to part now, as Ram bids us goodbye in a haste in Lukla to make his dream come true. A roof for his wife and education for his little princess.
Widespread rain, hail and wind sweep across Nepal. Authorities warn of windstorms and snowfall. Residents urged for precaution. RSP prepares to form Nepal's new government. New Prime Minister's swearing in scheduled for March 27. Nepal's foreign ministry says 8 Nepali nationals detained in the Middle East, 1 held in Iran's Hormuz, 7 in Gulf countries over social media activity. World Oral Health Day 2026 raises awareness on dental care. Health experts highlight link between oral hygiene and overall well-being. Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Fitr, marking end of Ramadan. Festivities bring families together amid global and regional tensions. And Nepali under-20 football team heads to Maldives for SAF Championship. Team aims to overcome past weaknesses and claim the title. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Widespread rainfall accompanied by strong winds, hail, thunder and lightning has affected multiple parts of Nepal, disrupting daily life and transport. In Kathmandu Valley, afternoon showers with hail caused difficulties for commuters, while authorities imposed a temporary ban on heavy vehicles along Narenghat-Butwal Road section. Lightning strikes injured 3 people and killed livestock in Gulmi as severe weather incidents were reported across regions. Meanwhile, Department of Hydrology and Meteorology has warned of further windstorms and heavy rainfall, with gusts of up to 119 kilometers per hour expected in eastern areas. Officials have urged the public to remain cautious, avoid unnecessary travel and take safety measures as adverse weather conditions persist nationwide. Rashtriya Swatantra Party, after securing a near 2/3 majority in Nepal's House of Representatives, has initiated preparations to form a new government under senior leader Balendra Shah. Party's President Ravi Lamichhane, along with Vice Presidents D.P. Aryal and Swarnim Wagle, is holding continuous consultations to finalize an 11 to 18-member Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister's swearing-in is scheduled for March 27, marking the first single-party majority government formed under Constitution of Nepal 2015, which removes the requirement for a vote of confidence. Ministerial portfolios are expected to be assigned based on expertise, with the government aiming to enhance governance, development and public service delivery compared to previous coalition administrations. More on this later in the bulletin in our cover story segment. Now, Nepal has confirmed 8 of its nationals have been detained across Middle East amid escalating tensions linked to Iran-Israel-US conflict, raising concerns over migrant workers' safety. 1 Nepali citizen is currently in Iranian custody near the Strait of Hormuz after authorities seized a vessel's crew during heightened military activity. 7 others have been arrested in Gulf countries over alleged misinformation on social media. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has said it remains on high alert and is prepared to evacuate citizens if necessary. Officials have also urged Nepalis in the region to stay cautious and comply with local laws as tensions persist. As the world marks World Oral Health Day 2026 on March 20, health experts are highlighting the growing importance of oral hygiene as a key indicator of overall well-being, including in Nepal. Medical professionals warn that poor oral health is closely linked to serious conditions such as heart disease and diabetes, underscoring its broader impact beyond the mouth. With an estimated 3.5 billion people affected globally, oral diseases remain among the most common non-communicable conditions, while Nepal faces rising cases and uneven access to dental care. Awareness campaigns and public health initiatives are being stepped up to promote preventive care and highlight that oral health is integral to overall health. More on this in our issue of the day later in the bulletin. Now, Muslims worldwide marked Eid al-Fitr on Friday, celebrating the end of the holy month of Ramadan following the sighting of the new moon that begins Shawwal. The festival, observed with large congregational prayers and family gatherings is one of the most significant events in the Islamic calendar, distinct from Eid al-Adha. This year's celebrations come amid ongoing regional conflicts and instability in several Muslim-majority countries, shaping a more subdued festive atmosphere. Meanwhile, Nepal government has given public holiday on March 21st, that is tomorrow, on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. On the sports front, the Nepali under-20 men's national football team is set to depart for the Maldives to compete in the SAF Under-20 Championship starting March 23rd, with hopes of winning the title. Head coach Urjan Shrestha will lead a squad largely composed of players experienced in this age group, while Dharmendra Kaur has been named the new team captain. Nepal is drawn into Group A alongside the host nation, Maldives, Bhutan and Sri Lanka, while defending champions India are in Group B with Bangladesh and Pakistan. The top two teams from each group will advance to the semi-finals. Coach Shrestha has said the team has trained for about a month and aims to leverage their experience while minimizing past mistakes. Officials and fans are optimistic that Nepal's preparation and cohesive team dynamics could make the country a strong contender for the title. Now, from the confidence of a smile to its surprising link to heart and overall physical health, we're diving into why dental hygiene is far more than just a daily routine. Our special coverage on World Oral Health Day in Issue of the Day right after this break. You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. From shaping our smile to influencing our overall health, oral hygiene is an important part of healthy living. The long overlooked issue is also gaining attention in Nepal as the world marks Oral Health Day today. How aware are we about oral health, which according to doctors reflects the overall health of the human body? Diksha Awasthi looks into how oral health affects humans' overall wellness.
Behind every smile lies a complex oral system, one that is far more than just the appearance. Do you know it also plays a vital role in our overall health? Oral health is defined as a state free from mouth and facial pain, infections, tooth decay, and gum disease, conditions that can affect how we eat, speak, and live. Doctors say when oral health is neglected, it does not just stay in the mouth, it can impact the whole body. March 20 is World Oral Health Day. With this year's message, a happy mouth is a happy life. Research shows poor oral health is linked to serious conditions like heart disease, diabetes, respiratory infections, and even complications during pregnancy. In fact, it is a two-way system. Oral health, on the one hand, is a mirror to the health condition of a human body, while on the other hand, it also indicates the health condition of other body parts.
Oral cavity is the mirror of the general health. So, as it is a mirror, every other disease seen in our body is reflected in our oral cavity. Like if the patient have deficiencies, like lots of vitamin deficiencies, iron deficiencies, vitamin B12 deficiencies, or there is stress. In oral cavity we can see ulcerations. And if patient have diabetes, then our periodontium is weak and there can be a mobile teeth. like in hypertension and diabetes, if they are taking medication, and if they have going through the medication, there is a less salivary flow, so it will affect the oral cavity in a while.
Globally, an estimated 3.5 billion people suffer from oral diseases, making them one of the most common non-communicable diseases. In Nepal too, oral health is an emerging public health concern.
There are many issues regarding the dental health in Nepal. So, for example, we see a lot of kids coming with a lot of caries in their teeth, oral cavity in very young age. Mostly in case of old age people, there are diseases related to gums and bone around the teeth. Also, there are a lot of people who consume tobacco products on a regular basis in Nepal. It's mostly in our South Asian countries. So there are also incidents of oral cancer, lesions in the oral cavity, which further progress into cancer. So we see all of these cases regularly in the hospital scenario.
Experts say maintaining oral hygiene is simple but essential. To raise awareness among the general public, the Dental Student Society of Nepal, in collaboration with the Nepal Dental Association, organized multiple events in Kathmandu. Remember, oral health is not just about a bright smile. It is a key reflection of overall well-being. Diksha Awasthi with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
And in this context, in our Public Pulse segment, we ask the public, how conscious are you about your oral health? Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'm very conscious about my oral hygiene, and for a good oral health, I always brush twice a day after having meal, and before sleeping. We must brush our teeth before sleep, because whole night the germs of the disease becomes active. So we should brush before sleep and after eating.
Kulukulu garchu, floss garchu, daat matchu, ani khane bittikai kulukulu garchu, sweet kura khaदैन.
I think oral hygiene is very important for our health because it gives us confidence to smile. It gives us ability to speak, to eat. So it is very important for our health. So basically what I do to maintain my oral health is I brush twice a day with toothpaste that is recommended by the dentist.
म चाहिँ बेलुका ब्रुस गर्छु. बिहान चाहिँ तातो पानीले हल्का मुख धोएर कुला गर्ने हो. अनि प्राय चाहिँ बिहान म ब्रुस गर्दिन, बेलुका नै गर्छु.
I take care of my oral health by brushing a day twice a day. I don't use the floss, but occasionally I use floss. Beside that, I use mouthwash as a rinsing agent. Other than that, I take care of my mouth by gargling with salt water.
Of course, I am conscious with my oral health. Basically, to maintain my oral health, I usually brush twice after meal and flossing every time after eating sweet things and regular dental visits.
How often?
I usually visit once a year, but it is said that we should visit every 6 months.
That wraps up our issue of the day. Now, after decades of coalition instability, Nepal stands on the brink of a new era as Rashtriya Swatantra Party prepares to form its first ever single-party majority government. The rise of a majority has brought a historic shift in governance. Our cover story on government formation after this break. You're watching News Hour here on NTV World. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story of the day. Nepal is set to form its first single-party majority government in over 2 decades as Rashtriya Swatantra Party moves to establish a new administration following its near 2/3 victory in parliament. Senior leader Balendra Shah is expected to take office as Prime Minister, with party leadership finalizing a compact, expertise-based cabinet ahead of the planned March 27 formation. The government to be formed under Constitution of Nepal 2015 is widely seen as a potential turning point after years of coalition instability. April Ankesing Lama brings more.
For the first time since 1999, Nepal is heading toward a single-party majority government, marking a major shift after nearly 2 decades of coalition-led political instability. The Rashtriya Swatantra Party, RSP, which secured a near 2/3 majority in the House of Representatives, has begun formal preparations to form the next government. Senior party leaders are holding continuous consultations to finalize the Council of Ministers, with officials indicating that the new government is likely to be formed by March 27, a day after the newly elected lawmakers take their oath of office. As per pre-election agreements, senior leader Balendra Shah is set to be appointed Prime Minister. Party Chair Rabilami Chani, Vice Chair DP Aryal, and leader Swarnim Wagle are engaged in discussions over the cabinet lineup. General Secretary Kabindra Burlakoti said the initial cabinet is expected to include between 11 and 18 ministers, with appointments based on expertise and professional background.
पार्टीको बाचापत्रमा 18 जनाको मन्त्रीमण्डल हुने, मन्त्रालय चाहिँ 18 वटा हुने भन्ने छ। त्यही बीचमा रहने गरी अहिले छलफलहरू चलिरहेको छ। सरसर्ती हेर्दाखेरि अधिकतम 18 जना र न्यूनतम चाहिँ 11 जना जति हुन्छ कि अहिलेको चरणमा भन्ने छ। यदि त्यसो भयो भने फेरि तुरुन्तै चाहिँ संख्या थप्ने कुराहरू हुन सक्छ। यो छलफलकै क्रममा छ। यो चाहिँ विषय विज्ञताका कुराहरू छन्, केही अनुभवका कुराहरू पनि सँगसँगै आउलान् र त्यो सँगसँगै चाहिँ अब योगदानका कुराहरू पनि हुन्छन्। त्यो मन्त्रालयमा पठाइसके पछाडि त्यहाँको कार्य सम्पादन राम्रो होस् भन्ने चाहना हो। आम नागरिकले खोजेको जस्तो कार्य सम्पादन दिन सक्ने मन्त्री पठाउन सकियोस् भन्ने हिसाबमा हामीले अलिकति बढी त्यसमा ध्यान दिएका छौं। यसमा चाहिँ अब राजनीतिक अनुभव भन्दा पनि सम्बन्धित क्षेत्रमा काम गरेको, सम्बन्धित क्षेत्रमा भएको अध्ययनका कुराहरू, सम्बन्धित क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ गरिएका चाहिँ रिसर्चका कुराहरू योसँग जोडिएर हेर्ने गरिन्छ। त्यो कारणले गर्दाखेरि अहिलेको सन्दर्भमा चाहिँ डेलिभरी राम्रो दिन सक्ने मन्त्री पठाउन सकियोस् भन्नेमा हामी बढी केन्द्रित छौं।
The government will be formed under Article 76, 1 of the Constitution of Nepal 2015, which allows the President to appoint the parliamentary party leader of the majority party as Prime Minister without requiring a vote of confidence in Parliament. Nepal has not had a single-party majority government since 1999, with successive coalition governments often facing instability, frequent leadership changes, and governance challenges. The formation of the new government is being closely watched both domestically and internationally as the country moves toward a potentially more stable phase of governance.
That was our cover story of today. On to other news. Nepali Congress Central Working Committee meeting has been postponed and will resume on Sunday after initial discussions focused on election results and internal party matters. Party President Gagan Kumar Thapa offered his resignation on moral grounds, but several leaders, including Vice President Bishwa Prakash Sharma, argued it should be rejected, citing broader causes behind the party's electoral setback. A preliminary review report recommending Thapa's continuation received support, with the committee expected to take a final decision in the next session.
पार्टीलाई चुस्त र दुरुस्त पनि बनाउनु छ, आधुनिक पनि बनाउनु छ, पुनर्निर्माण पनि गर्नु छ। देशभरि रहेका हाम्रा पार्टीका र समर्थक साथीहरूको मनोबललाई पनि उच्च मनोबलमा उकास्नु पनि छ। यो सबै परिस्थितिमा उहाँको राजीनामालाई, उहाँको नैतिकताको आधारमा दिएको राजीनामालाई हामीले उच्च मूल्याङ्कन गर्दै, उच्च कदर गर्दै त्यसलाई स्वीकार गर्ने प्रस्ताव पनि छ र त्यो प्रस्तावमा व्यापक छलफल भइरहेको छ।
Nepal has confirmed that 8 of its citizens have been detained across West Asia amid escalating tensions linked to Iran-Israel United States conflict, raising fresh concerns over the safety of migrant workers. One Nepali national is currently in Iranian custody near the Strait of Hormuz, while 7 others have been arrested in Gulf countries over alleged misinformation on social media. The developments have prompted heightened vigilance from the government as it monitors the situation and prepares for possible evacuations. Shiksha Sharma brings a report.
Nepal's government has confirmed that 8 Nepali nationals have been detained across the Middle East amid ongoing tensions involving Iran, raising fresh concerns over the safety of migrant workers in the region. According to Nepal's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, one Nepali citizen is currently under Iranian control in the Strait of Hormuz area after Iranian authorities detained crew members of a vessel operating in the region. The individual was among those taken into custody during heightened military activity linked to the ongoing Iran-Israel-United States conflict. In addition, 7 other Nepali nationals have been arrested in Gulf countries on charges related to the spread of misinformation on social media. Officials said 3 individuals were detained in the UAE, 3 in Saudi Arabia, and 1 in Kuwait. Ramkaji Khadka, head of the West Asia division at the ministry, stated during a press briefing that the detention in Hormuz occurred when Iranian forces took control of an entire ship's crew amid escalating tensions.
इमर्जेन्सी कन्ट्रोल रुमको सञ्चालनको लागि तयार भएको स्ट्यान्डर्ड अपरेटिङ प्रोसिड्युर एसओपी अनुमोदन गरी कार्यान्वयनका लागि परराष्ट्र मन्त्रालयलाई सिफारिस गर्ने भन्ने निर्णय थियो। त्यसमा हामीले त्यो कक्षको इमर्जेन्सी कन्ट्रोल रुमको स्ट्यान्डर्ड अपरेटिङ प्रोसिड्युर तयार गरेर
The ministry also reported that over 82,000 Nepali nationals have registered their status through an online system. Of those, around 6,000 initially reported feeling unsafe, though officials noted that the number has declined in recent days. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lok Bahadur Chhetri said the government remains on high alert and is prepared to carry out evacuations if necessary. Ministry spokesperson added that no Nepali citizens are currently stranded in transit countries while traveling.
All airports, seaports, energy facilities, plants and infrastructure, gas plants, shipping companies, military bases, desalination plants, financial institutions, US universities, multinational tech giant companiesहरूलाई लक्षित गरी आक्रमण भएको देखिएकोले त्यहाँ कार्यरत नेपाली माझ कोल्याटरल रिस्क र भलनरेबिलिटी बढेको देखिएको छ। यस विषयमा सुरक्षा सावधानीका लागि हाम्रो प्रयास जारी नै छ। मन्त्रालयबाट दैनिक रूपमा सूचना जानकारी तथा औद्योगिक विवरणहरू हामीले यहाँलाई जानकारी गराइ नै राखेका छौं।
Nepal, which has a large number of migrant workers across the Gulf, has urged its citizens to remain cautious and follow local regulations as regional tensions continue.
Prime Minister Sushila Karki has expressed her gratitude to provincial government and security agencies for ensuring a peaceful conduct of elections in Madhya Province and Dhanusha district. Speaking at a security meeting at Janakpur Airport, she specifically thanked Home, Communications and Law Minister Fakira Mahato, senior security officials and Dhanusha security chief for their role in managing the polls. Prime Minister Karki praised their efforts in overseeing historically peaceful elections despite various challenges and doubts. Earlier, the Prime Minister visited Janaki Temple in Janakpur Dham, offering prayers and meeting the temple's mahants and priests. Karki emphasized that her visit to Janakpur Dham was purely for religious purposes. This marks her first visit to the city since leading the interim government. The National Natural Resources and Finance Commission has set the limits for internal debt that the federal, provincial and local governments in Nepal can take in the upcoming fiscal year. The Commission recommended that the federal government may mobilize internal debt up to a maximum of 5.5% of the GDP, while provincial and local governments can raise debt up to 12% of their combined own and federal revenue. The guidelines emphasize fiscal discipline, requiring a cost-benefit analysis, evaluation of net present value and internal rate of return before taking loans. Officials stress that debt should only be used for projects that promote production growth, employment, income generation, infrastructure development, and capital formation. The recommendation aims to ensure that returns from debt-funded projects can cover both principal and interest, preventing financial strain. It is learned that these measures are designed to balance development needs with fiscal sustainability. Finland has been ranked the happiest country in the world for the 9th consecutive year, according to a study by the Oxford Wellbeing Wellness Centre
and the United Nations Sustainable Development Network, covering 147 countries. Iceland and Denmark follow in second and third place, while Costa Rica has entered the top 5 for the first time, ranking 4th. Sweden is 5th. The rankings were determined using indicators such as GDP, social support, freedom and corruption. Among other nations, Australia is 15th, the US 23rd, Canada 25th and the United Kingdom 29th. Nepal ranks 92nd, with neighboring China at 65th and India at 116th. Afghanistan is at the bottom of the list, ranked 147th. Cooperative victims once again staged a Kathmandu-centric protest, demanding the return of their savings deposited in various savings and cooperatives. The demonstration took place at Maitikar under the leadership of National Federation of Cooperative Victim Savers. Protesters called for the full repayment of all deposited funds, regardless of the amount, and demanded strict action against those involved in fraud. Participants carried placards with slogans such as "No gas, no fuel, no money in cooperatives," also enact laws to punish cooperative fraudsters and return the savers' money. Kushlav Gesi, the president of National Campaign for the Protection of Cooperative Savers, emphasized that the incoming government must take the concerns of the victims seriously.
सरकारले तत्काल अब नियम कानुन र नीति चेन्ज गर्दै गर्दाखेरि समग्र बचतकर्तालाई कुनै पनि विभेद नगरिकन तत्काल दामासाईले बचत फिर्ता गर्ने आधार सहितको सिस्टम निर्माण गरोस् भन्नका लागि हामी ध्यान आकर्षण गराउन यहाँ आएका हौं.
Moving on, Gosaikunda Rural Municipality in Nepal is launching a pioneering program to provide free pneumonia vaccinations to senior citizens, targeting high-risk groups amid concerns over respiratory infections in cold climates. The municipality has procured Pfizer vaccine doses worth around $35,000, making it the first local government in Nepal to independently fund and distribute pneumonia vaccines. The initiative will cover residents aged 70 and above, as well as persons with disabilities and those with serious illnesses identified by the national government. Nearly 700 beneficiaries across 6 wards are expected to receive the vaccines during the campaign. Running from March 23rd to 30, at 83 designated health centers, the program highlights Nepal's efforts to strengthen preventive health care for its aging population. It's a concern shared globally as respiratory illnesses remain a leading cause of morbidity in older adults. Nepal is preparing to celebrate Eid al-Fitr, the festival marking the end of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. The government has announced public holiday tomorrow, that is March 21st, Saturday, to mark Eid celebrations. People of Islamic faith across the country are coming together for prayers, charity and festive gatherings. Siksha Sharma, with our Baki correspondent Rudra Subedi, takes a look.
Eid begins after the sighting of the new moon, according to the Islamic calendar, and is observed with special congregational prayers at mosques and open prayer grounds known as Eidgahs. Religious leaders say the festival is not only a spiritual observance, but also a time for social cohesion and charity. Families wear new or clean clothes, exchange greetings and share traditional foods such as sweet vermicelli, yogurt-based dishes and festive rice preparations. Acts of charity including zakat and fitr donations are a key part of the celebration, ensuring support for those in need.
जकात दिने, फित्र अदा गर्ने, सदका दिने, गरिब गुर्बालाई चाहिँ मद्दत गर्ने यो चाहिँ कार्य चाहिँ रमजानको बेलामा बढी हुन्छ र 30 दिन या 29 दिन रोजा बसेर चाहिँ चन्द्रमा हेरेर मुस्लिम समुदायले फिर चाहिँ ईद मनाउने चलन छ.
According to the 2021 Nepal National Population and Housing Census, Muslims make up approximately 5.09% of Nepal's population. The Muslim population is concentrated almost in all districts of the country, particularly in districts such as Rautarhat, Kapilvastu, Baake, Bara, Parsa, Mahottari and Sunsari, which fall within Madhesh, Lumbini and Koshi provinces. These regions are expected to see the most vibrant celebrations. Across Nepal, Eid al-Fitr is observed with enthusiasm, cultural richness, and religious tolerance, reflecting the country's diverse social fabric.
The 32nd National Conference of Women Legal Practitioners kicked off in Bhaktapur with the main slogan, Proportional Inclusion of Women, ensuring a transformed and just society. The conference has seen enthusiastic participation from women lawyers. Participants highlighted the need for clear policies, safe and inclusive workplaces, proportional representation in the judiciary, and expanded training and networking opportunities, particularly for professionals in rural areas. The conference is expected to issue a declaration on women's rights and inclusion as well, which aims to guide policy formulation and strengthen the justice system. Senior Justice Sapana Pradhan Malla emphasized that equal participation of women in law is essential for a just and inclusive society. International updates lined up next, but before that, let's have a quick recap of our headlines. Widespread rain, hail and wind sweep across Nepal. Authorities warn of windstorms and snowfall. Residents urge for precaution. RSP prepares to form Nepal's new government. New Prime Minister swearing in scheduled for March 27. Nepal's Foreign Ministry says 8 Nepali nationals detained in the Middle East, 1 held in Iran's Hormuz, 7 in Gulf countries over social media activity. World Oral Health Day 2026 raises awareness on dental care. Experts highlight link between oral hygiene and overall well-being. Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Fitr, marking end of Ramadan. Festivities bring families together amid global and regional tensions. And Nepali under-20 football team heads to Maldives for SAF Championship. Team aims to overcome past weaknesses and claim the title. Israel launched airstrikes on Tehran on Friday as Iranians marked Nowruz, with multiple explosions reported across the capital amid escalating conflict with Iran. The strikes came as Iran intensified attacks on energy infrastructure across the Gulf, including drone strikes on Kuwait's Mina al-Ahmadi refinery, where fires forced partial shutdowns but caused no casualties. In Dubai, heavy explosions were heard as air defenses intercepted incoming fire during Eid al-Fitr celebrations. In Haifa, an oil refinery was struck following missile launches from Iran, sending thick smoke into the air, though no hazardous leaks were reported. The widening exchange of strikes underscores a growing regional escalation, with both sides targeting critical infrastructures, particularly focused on energy across multiple countries. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have said U.S.-Israeli strikes had killed their spokesperson, Ali Mohammad Naimi. The Israeli army has also confirmed the killing of Naimi, adding that he was killed in an overnight air attack. Now, following the EU summit on Thursday, French President Emmanuel Macron called for a de-escalation in the Middle East and for a clarification of the objectives behind the war so that it can come to an end as quickly as possible. He also described the Israeli operations in Lebanon as unacceptable, while also stressing that Hezbollah must hand over its weapons.
Mais on ne pense pas que la lutte contre le Hezbollah ou soustraction de ses armes puisse se faire par une puissance tierce. Et donc nous pensons que l'opération militaire terrestre israélienne comme les bombardements ne sont pas adaptés et même sont inacceptables au regard du droit international comme de l'intérêt même et des Libanais et de la sécurité d'Israël dans la durée.
During Thursday's meeting between Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi and U.S. President Donald Trump, the latter said it would be appropriate for Japan and other allies to contribute to efforts to ensure safe passage in the Strait of Hormuz, noting that Japan gets around 90% of its oil through the strait. Responding to a media question on Japan's role in helping to reopen the strait after meeting U.S. President Donald Trump, Japanese Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi said the role Japan can play is bounded within the framework of Japanese law.
上げます。私から事態の早期、沈静化の必要性をはじめとする、我が国の考え方をしっかり伝えました。で、ホルムズ海峡における航行の安全でエネルギーの安定供給を含む、中東地域の平和と安定の実現に向けて、日米間で緊密に意思疎通を続けていくということを確認しました。で、ただ日本の法律の範囲内でできることとできないことがございますので、これについては詳細にきっちりと説明をいたしました。はい、じゃあ終わります。
Outraged EU leaders rounded on Viktor Orban after the Hungarian nationalist refused to lift his veto on funds for Ukraine's war effort at a Thursday EU summit, accusing him of a gross act of disloyalty tantamount to blackmail. Moscow's closest partner in the bloc, Hungary's Prime Minister, has long resisted helping Kyiv to repel Russia's invasion by stalling EU aid and repeated rounds of sanctions. This time, Orban is holding up a €90 billion, which is $104 billion in loan, which he previously had greenlit as leverage in a feud over damage to a pipeline through Ukraine, which has choked the flow of Russian oil to Hungary and Slovakia.
But the leaders take the floor to clearly condemn the attitude from Viktor Orban, to remember that once a deal is a deal, and all the leaders need to honor their word. And nobody can blackmail the European Council, nobody can blackmail the European Union institutions, and we need to deliver on this.
A fire at a car parts plant in South Korea on Friday left at least 21 people seriously injured and 14 others missing. The blaze broke out around 1 p.m. local time in the central city of Daejeon. Officials reported that about 45 people were injured in total, with 21 believed to be in serious condition. Authorities issued an order typically used for fires beyond the capacity of local firefighting teams. President Lee Jae-myung has instructed officials to mobilize all available personnel and equipment for rescue operations. We're going for another breather here. Next up, we have business updates.
After Thursday's meeting between Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and US President Donald Trump, the two countries announced their plans to build nuclear reactors. The $40 billion project would seek to build nuclear reactors in Tennessee and Alabama in southeastern part of the US, and a $33 billion investment in natural gas power generation facilities in Pennsylvania and Texas in the northeastern and south central US respectively. The deal came after Tokyo agreed last year to invest $550 billion in the United States through the 2029 in return for lowering threatened tariffs by Washington to 15% from 25%.
重要鉱物につきましては、具体的プロジェクトに関する、協力や、南鳥島周辺の、海域にありますレアアースデーを含む海洋鉱物資源開発に関する協力などに関する3つの文書を取りまとめることができました。エネルギー分野では小型モジュール炉 SMR の建設を含む戦略的投資イニシアティブの第2次プロジェクトについて発表をしました。国際的な電力需要が急速に増大する中で、また中東情勢を含む現下の状況に照らしまして、非常に重要だと考えております。で、中国
Russia's central bank cut its key interest rate to 15% from 15.5% as the economy slows under pressure from Moscow's protracted and expensive war in Ukraine and the Western sanctions. Governor Elvira Nabiullina said the rate cut is aimed at supporting lending and stabilizing economic activity amid the weakening growth indicators. She added that inflationary pressures have eased slightly, allowing room for cautious monetary policy adjustments despite ongoing uncertainty. The bank also signaled it may consider further rate changes depending on fiscal conditions, sanctions impact, and developments related to the conflict in Ukraine. Throngs of pet lovers from around China packed into large, bustling exhibition halls for an expo where exotic animals are more common than the typical feline or canine. As China's pet economy continues to evolve, the types of species that are being kept as pets are also expanding. The exotic pet market refers to the trade and sale of non-traditional or unusual animals that are kept as pets. In the Year of the Snake, pet stores specializing in snakes and other reptiles have emerged as hotspots for young people. The 2025 China Pet Industry White Paper estimates that approximately 17.07 million people in China are keeping exotic pets, with a market size nearing 10 billion yuan.
And with that, we move on to sports update. The Iranian national women's football team received a high-profile heroes welcome in Tehran following their return from the Women's Asia Cup in Australia. The ceremony follows a tense standoff where 6 players and a staff member initially sought asylum after facing domestic backlash for not singing the national anthem. Amid allegations that Tehran pressured their families and counterclaims that Australia encouraged defections, 5 of the athletes ultimately chose to return home. Officials used the rally to project a message of national unity, with the Football Federation president praising the players' loyalty to the state. Now the weather updates, first from across Nepal and then the world. And before wrapping up, here's a reminder of the headlines. Widespread rain, hail and wind sweep across Nepal. Authorities warn of windstorms and snowfall. Residents urge for precaution. RSP prepares to form Nepal's new government. New Prime Minister's swearing-in scheduled for March 27. Nepal's foreign ministry says 8 Nepali nationals detained in the Middle East, 1 held in Iran's Hormuz, 7 in Gulf countries over social media activity. World Oral Health Day 2026 raises awareness on dental care. Health experts highlight link between oral hygiene and overall well-being. Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Fitr, marking end of Ramadan. Festivities bring families together amid global and regional tensions. And Nepali under-20 football team heads to Maldives for SAF Championship. Team aims to overcome past weaknesses and claim the title. And that brings us to the end of this edition of News Hour here on NTV World. Do join us through our social media pages and also get the latest update from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.